I'm looking at the people in the comment section talking about how late we are. That was my fault. Apologize for being late. Happy Friday. Coop, what's going on with you, brother? How you doing?
Um, I'm sorry for holding everybody up. It was Mike's fault. I got a
This was
long
me.
list of birthday shout outs that I need to give right quick.
Go
Let's
ahead.
start with my let's start with my aunt Cookie, who turned 60 on February 10th. Let's then go to my niece Jessina, who turned 16 on February 15th. Let's go to my brother Rodney Jr. My father's name is Rodney, turned 48 yesterday. My mother turned 60 years old today. She is upstairs with my daughter who turns 15 tomorrow. They are about to go to the mall. My second oldest sister, Tracy, will be turning, I'm not going to tell her age, this Sunday. She is with her part of the tribe up in the Charleston area in some very nice Airbnbs that I would like to go to if I didn't have prior commitments, engagements, and quite frankly, shared custody.
Well, happy birthday to everybody. And man, you got a full list of shout outs there. Shout out to everybody in the
Hold on.
room too.
And that's not counting my second oldest brother, LeVar J, who actually birthday is the same as my sister Tracy. He's up in Newcastle, which is right next to Youngstown across the state line where my dad's side of the family is from. Birthday shout outs done, and so are my pockets.
Birthday shout outs done. We had some new music today. Man, it's a lot of new music. Terminator 2 says Mike D, Eminem kneeling equals virtue signaling. Eminem also.
Podcast on my mother's birthday talking about Eminem. We are not doing it.
All right, look, I know it also went kind of viral that Eminem went to a Tupac museum and stuff too. I had a huge back and forth with somebody today about all of that. I don't even want to get into all of that, but yeah, the pandering is real. Look, I know people had issue with some of the critiques that we had of the halftime show. I guess we can cover that real quick.
I've been getting those comments this weekend, but I haven't seen them. But I kind of felt that was coming based on what I've been seeing everybody else say. I think we were in the minority.
This is the thing. And again, man, I am rating those guys on, and me personally, I'm rating those guys on what I've seen them do. I hold Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg very, very high when it comes to live performances and their material as well. I went back and looked at that Let Me Ride. What was it when they performed Let Me Ride at the Up in Smoke tour, and then it went into Still DRE when they came out and The Truth Hurts was singing the intro and all of that, and then they come out in the Lowrider and they and as soon as the beat drops, that shit is hitting the hydraulics or whatever. That's the level I hold those guys to. Every time I hear that beat drop on there, that shit gives me chills. And Super Bowl performance was nothing like that. I'm not going to sit here and rate them on a different scale based on what stage they're on. Just going to keep it consistent because of who they are. Shit, y'all know how much I love Michael Jackson. I don't love his Super Bowl performance. I love the fact that Michael Jackson was there, but I don't love that performance. It's not even a top 10, 15, maybe even 20 Michael Jackson performance. So, we just keeping it real as much as we can. Again, I guess some people are just happy to be at the table or happy to be in the house. I don't know.
Did you say happy to be in the house?
Yeah. I guess some people are just happy to be in the house. For me, that's not enough. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not dope, it's not dope, Shout out to Leo. He said, London in the building. Peace, Mike and Coop. And heads in the chat. Yes, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to you guys. And everybody that's listening in the podcast world, no matter how you're getting this podcast, make sure you go over to YouTube, subscribe to According to Hip Hop, so you can join in the discussion in the chat with everybody else while we're doing this. New music today, man. Because I know we're going to get into a few things. We're going to talk about this Kanye West documentary. We're going to talk about this Kendrick Lamar podcast that is focused on To Pimp a Butterfly, he's calling it his sophomore album now. Whatever. Either sophomore, third, however you look at it. Or fourth if you're an overly dedicated fan. And we're going to talk about the new music that dropped today. Big KRIT dropped his album today, and so did Curren$y and the Alchemist. I want to start with Curren$y and the Alchemist, if you don't mind. What are you thinking? You want to start with that one?
Thinking we need to start with that flame. Yeah.
Okay. What were your thoughts? I'm pulling up the track list right now. I apologize.
So I was thinking,
What were your thoughts when you heard Continuous today? Currency and the Alchemist.
Continuance, yeah.
Yes.
Corvette Rally Stripes and Whale Watching really took a hold of me today. The joint with Havoc and Wiz, and then the joint with Styles P right after it.
Yeah.
Those were the joints that really got me, and I was like, okay, he going somewhere with this project. The project, for me, is very Alfredo-ish. And I mean that in the highest complimentary way. As far as like when I was thinking of a better Alchemist pairing, that was the only one that I could think of off the top of my head after listening to this project. And if you think about all the quality work that he's just done with Boldy in the last 2-3 years, not even the full catalog with Boldy, just like A Price of Tea in China, Bojack, and Super Tecmo Bo, I was like, I think this might be better than all three of those. And I love all of those projects.
You're big. You're high on those projects, especially the Price of Tea in China.
Surf and Turf. You know how I feel about Surf and Turf.
Yeah.
But no, like this project is pretty special to me. Just off first listen, and I have not heard it twice.
Yeah.
I did not need it twice.
It was one of those albums that when I pressed play, I had my you know what I'm saying, my Beats headphones on. That it punched me in the gut. I'm like, oh, okay. I wasn't expecting that. So I listened to the Big KRIT first. I don't know why, but I guess I just did because I was very intrigued on what, you know, I was gonna hear there. And we're gonna get to that in a minute. But it kind of set the standard for the day, and then I put the Currency and Alchemist on, and I'm like, oh no, this is where we're going. And see, Alchemist, man, he is one of those guys, and we need to talk about this too. He's slowly creeping on this all-time hip-hop producers list. It's almost like every year he inches further and further to that top spot. We have to be fair. The only people that we seem to always have above him are people who were doing it in the 90s. And let's just be honest, he's been doing it longer and better than them to a certain extent. So for a lot of us that were there, and I don't want to name any names, but y'all know who we're talking about. We're talking about the sphere of the RZAs, the Primos, the Pete Rocks, and you know, that kind of sphere in the 90s. If you were there when they were doing that, that stuff was super special. But for people who were growing up in the Alchemist era, if they feel like Alchemist is better than some of the people that we were there to listen to, I couldn't be mad. Because the volume that he's putting in and the quality he's putting in is real, real special right now. And it's like he can give you 2-3 albums with different MCs a year, all quality.
We're going to talk about Alchemist in a minute.
And Currency's one of those guys too. We gotta give him his props for consistency too. Like he's consistent. That's where I want to go first. He dropped 3 albums last year and then just dropped this.
I want to go there first if we can.
Yeah, Mike. Go there first. You know, he's the MC on the album.
Right, he's the MC on the album. He's remarkably as consistent as an MC you will find. Like if you're a fan of Currency, and I told you, and I told you right before we ended our conversation that I said, well, I'm listening to Currency first because I'm more of a fan of Currency than I am of KRIT. And today
I would have to put Currency above KRIT on an all-time list. I know that might sound funny to some people, but
it's not. Because the catalog is there, Mike, because he dropped 3 dope projects last year. And I was like, man, this is blowing all 3 of those out the water. And I enjoyed all 3 of those. And not only did and it's not even the fact that I enjoyed all 3 of those. It's the fact that I consistently find myself enjoying his projects. And then he comes with this. Like, you don't make projects this good at this point in your career when you're this consistent. This isn't like this some sort of comeback album. He arguably just had the best year of his career last year. And then he teamed with Alchemist, and then it all occurred to me, Mike, when I heard Boldy on this, I was like, Currency is on Fake Flowers with Gibbs and Boldy on Bo Jackson. And that's where all of the seeds of this came from.
the hunger and the consistency of guys like Currency and Alchemist who've been in the game this long, it's impressive, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do
It
you
is.
stay reinvigorated to that point and consistent on that level? Level, excuse me.
No, it's very hard to keep this pace when you're already successful at doing what you're doing. Like
Yeah.
Currency already has his following. Like he spits a bar on this project on Continuance, Mike, where he's talking about how he has a ride showing like every time he came up like a little further in the rap game. You know what I'm saying? To show like where he's taking it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like that's his
what's up.
way. That's his way of like expressing his part of the culture, like to you, and he's just remained remarkably consistent, and he deserves like some flowers for it, just quite frankly, which is why I do want to lead off talking about him. Like he's somebody that has a cult following, but this is one of those albums, Mike, where I think like he can step into more of what I would call traditional hip hop MC spheres, because here's something that we didn't think about. If you think about what Currency does well, which is like really soulful and slow draw rap, and then you think about what Alchemist does sample-wise as a producer, it's like we're not sleeping or anything, but it's like, oh no, it fits perfectly actually when you think about it, and it sounds that way.
I mean, like you said, it's an unlikely pairing, I guess, if people think about regionally. But when you talk about sonically and what people do well, this is a perfect pairing. Shout out to Mugs TU says, yay, yo, Coop got y'all merch popping off. Yeah. We got the merch. Go to accordingtohiphop.com, go to the pop-up shop. You know, you'll see mad options and whatnot. What were you about to say before I cut you off?
No, just some of these riffs, production-wise, that Alchemist comes up with in loops and samples, they normally only sound great, Mike, when there's an all-time great lyricist rapping behind them. Now, Currency isn't that, but he's pulling that effect off because stylistically he fits very, very well with Alchemist.
You know what I'm really understanding? You know, I've thought about this before anyway, you know, but there's a group of guys that, like you said, that aren't on a quote-unquote all-time lyricist list, but just know how to make songs really well. We just got through talking about the greatness of Snoop Dogg and why people leave him off these lists. Currency's one of those guys. Like, Wiz is one of those guys. Like,
Wiz
these guys, you know, people don't put them on all-time lyricists, you know, lists. But when it comes to making songs and being able to hold things down as an individual, as a soloist, like, they're great at it. Currency doesn't need people on the project, and when he had people on this project, it was even better. I'm gonna go to the super chat real quick. Shout out to East Village. East Village says shout out to Mike and Coop from Perth, Australia. Love your views on hip hop. What you guys think on Ride a Rugged Man and Immortal Technique, and why doesn't Tech Nine get the roses that he deserves? We can get into that. I mean, I think that Currency is kind of, I don't want to say in that vein, but he has that following. We have artists out here like the ones you mentioned and Currency who just stay consistent to their base. They're not out here trying to get the crossover audience. He said Ride a Rugged Man. He said Tech Nine and Immortal Technique. You know what I mean? Like, those guys do what they do well for the people who rock with them, and they're gonna give you consistent product. And I think that they're not interested in winning over an audience that doesn't already rock with them. So I think that's why they don't get the flowers from people that you think they should get it from. But I think for the people who rock with them, they do get their flowers.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah. But yes, again, I think that when we talk about artists in those veins, Currency's one of the top. He's gonna give his audience what they want, and like you said, that line about, you know, him getting a new ride for every, you know, project. It's like, yo,
yeah, it's like for every come up, this is how I stun on him.
It makes sense.
You know, it's like, yeah,
it makes sense. I love it, man. I think it was a very dope project, and I think I told you offline, I think it's hip hop's album of the year so far.
It is.
Anybody in the chat, if y'all disagree, what do y'all think is the album of the year so far? Because I think it's the best hip hop album I've heard. We're in the middle of February, so they asking,
Hold on.
yo, what you looking at?
Mike, my mom needs the Wi-Fi password. Hold on one
Oh
second.
no, go handle that, man. Has anybody heard the Currency and Alchemist album Continuous, and what were y'all thoughts on it? If y'all heard the Big KRIT album today, what were y'all thoughts on the Big KRIT album? What's the actual name of the Big KRIT album? I don't want to keep calling it that. And I know we're gonna talk about KRIT. Oh, Digital Roses Don't Die. I love the title too. The real Leonard Washington said Currency is very consistent. I'm a big time Currency fan. Still Stone Ocean, still in rotation since last year. Magnan says, DeCarlo, what do you think about Luda and Wale lyrically? I think I missed the DeCarlo comment. Hold on 1 second. DeCarlo says, Luda, Snoop, Wale, Jeezy, and E40 come to mind in that conversation. Definitely E40. Definitely Wale as well. Snoop and Luda, and I think we're talking about the conversation of consistency to, come to your base, go to your base. It's like Luda and Snoop are some very crossover lyrical, I won't say lyrical MCs, but MCs that can hold down records themselves. Like I feel like people like Luda and Snoop can make hits in their sleep because they have that voice. And I think that's why last week when somebody brought up Eminem being better than Snoop, and I said, well, you probably think that Eminem's better than Slick Rick as well, because I feel like Slick Rick's another one of those people that just has such an overpowering voice where he can hold things down himself. Wale is a very interesting character when it comes to this. I think Wale's been consistent to his base, and I think Wale should be brought up when we talk about this Big KRIT conversation too, because
after his last album, yes, only because of his last album.
It's a class. There's a class of MCs that came in. I want to say, what was that? 2009, 10ish or whatever, when Kanye's at the top of the game, and you got Wayne at the top of the game on another spectrum, and you have this class of MCs with Kendrick, A$AP Rocky, J. Cole, Big KRIT, Wale's in there. Is Meek Mill a part of that class? I feel like he is. Drake.
I don't.
You know what I'm saying? Like that class of people that came in that 09-ish thing, like the You Got Next generation. And what's interesting about this generation, well, that generation, I don't want to say this generation because it's not this generation. That generation started all together, and I think that the industry or hip hop was going in so many different directions. It was kind of in flux. They all went in different
directions. Yes.
It's like Kendrick went in hibernation. KRIT went signed to Def Jam, went major, went back independent. J. Cole stayed major, but still thinks independently. Drake went to the top. You know what I'm saying?
No,
and it's
I get your whole analysis of everything.
It is crazy because none of it's not like the 90s or early 2000s even, where everybody who was in a certain class all kind of took the same approach moving forward. You know what I mean?
It's a gift and a curse. So real quick, while I was gone, I'm pretty certain you wrapped up the thought that this is the album of the year so far by Currency and Alchemist, correct?
Yes.
I know I hear you talking about the class of MCs with Currency and all that. So we're obviously where he is amongst his peers. I would put him very high amongst his peers.
Who are his peers? Because it's confusing who his peers are.
He's a transitional guy, isn't he? Because I feel like I've been listening to him almost as long as I've been listening to somebody like Push.
No, definitely. Yeah, I think him and Push are very similar in that light. Yeah. He's gone through different phases. I know we were talking about the greatness of Snoop again when he's been able to transition through different phases and eras and No Limit and all that. Currency's done similar things. Currency's rocked with a lot of different crews and a lot of different sounds. and has been able
Right.
to stay consistent in that and be who he is on the
And
level that he is.
And he said it himself, Mike, and been able to craft his own sound still. Says that on this album too.
Okay,
So
I think
kudos to
that's a
him,
good transition.
because also think about how strong his sound is. He just did an album with Alchemist, and it still felt like he was, it still felt like his album. It didn't feel like it was like this is just some above average MC Alchemist gave beats to. It's like, no, I feel like Currency joined. Like I feel like he got some Currency like type of beats out of Alchemist almost,
I feel like he found his sound, and I might have got on the Currency a little late. Well, maybe not as late as people might think, but when I heard Address and he got on that ski beats type stuff, man, and with
I think that's where it
Stalin,
changed for him.
yeah, that's where I think he found his sound. And he has a sound that nobody else has.
No, he's
him and
unique
Fiend,
unto himself. He's unique unto himself because
He
it's
is.
like you can hear the New Orleans.
yeah,
You can hear the NO. It's clear, but it's like nobody in NO really sounds like him or raps like him though.
him and
But-
Fiend take
but
a
it's real
different.
NO.
Fiend takes a similar approach too when it comes to kind of going against what you normally hear from New Orleans.
Right, but Fiend still rides over the beat.
Yeah.
Currency is on some. He dipping and diving with the beat. He's not riding
Yeah.
over the beat like Fiend is. Fiend's riding over the beat. Currency weaving, like he's literally telling tales of like weaving through the streets while he's weaving through the beat, and like it's beautiful. Like it's dope to get in his world. Like I love going into his world, Mike, because you can like ride to it like all the time, and this is like high level.
Is Wiz in his world?
Yes. How about this, Mike? I prefer him over Wiz. Like all these guys that you're talking about, like the only people that I can say with clarity that are better than him are Cole and Drake. Like everybody else you named, I'm like, I'd probably rather hear Currency than hear those guys though.
You rather hear Drake than Currency?
No, I'm just saying like
I know what you mean. It's
right,
hard to
like,
make an argument.
Drake and Cole have done enough that it's like if I'm saying Currency is better than them, it's like even if I like Currency more, you get what I'm saying. I'm not about to say that and disrespect Drake's output for hit making and hook writing ability alone, and I'm not about to disrespect J. Cole as an MC. But outside of those two guys, like it's clear to me in terms of quality of music, like he makes better music than all those other guys you named. Don't he make better music than Wale and Meek
Yeah.
and KRIT?
You know who I
And
think
everybody-
his father is? Father in this hip hop shit. I think Devin the Dude is his father.
We've talked about that. I told you it's very Devin the Dudish, but I think he's better than Devin.
Yeah, I think he
Because
is.
he's not, because Devin kind of got he got kind of pigeonholed, and some of it was self-inflicted into more of one trick pony type of songs and kind of too shortish freaky tales type of narratives and weed tales for a long time. And it's like, no, Currency is just more like everyday hood pope type. You know what I'm saying?
They're
Guy
bringing
named
up
Around your hood, still riding around your hood.
They're bringing up Big Sean in the chat. I don't know if Big Sean is a part of that class. It's a little bit after that, right? I don't know.
I still like Currency better than Sean too. Even if you told me Sean was a better MC, I still like Currency shit better.
Man, you know what? We're gonna get to we're gonna talk about Sean when we talk about that Kendrick podcast, man, because that
We are.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
I
that.
told you how problematic that control verse is in terms of how it got framed. And even
It
when
is,
Mike,
man.
Mike, when you hear that verse, does it sound super dope to you? Does it sound like Rhyme of the Year dope? It's not Rhyme of the Year.
You
Jay
know
Electronica
what?
had a better
This is
verse
my
on this
thing
song.
about the control verse, and we'll probably elaborate on it a little bit more when we talk about that Spotify episode or series that they're doing on Kendrick's To Pimp a Butterfly. But the thing is, everything that made that control verse what people said it was, you're not doing. That's it. I mean, everything that's supposed to be special about that control verse is the competitive nature of it. You're not competing.
It's very problematic.
And that's just the bottom line. We don't believe you. You need more people.
It's very problematic.
All right, so Big KRIT's album.
No. Hold on. We can't jump to this album yet because I want to talk about. No, we can't. No. And here's why. Because there are two parts to why this is album of the year so far.
Okay.
And the second part, The Alchemist, which we touched on briefly. So here's what's really going on, Mike. And here's why Alchemist doesn't get the love that he deserves. Does he have the hits that you remember like Dr. Dre, Kanye, the Neptunes, or Timbaland? No.
Yeah.
Does he have the street classics that Primo, Havoc, and RZA and DJ Paul have? No. Is he a better beat maker than Dilla or Pete Rock? No. But Mike, he does a little bit of all of those things. And with the exception of those guys, you really can't say that there's somebody better.
You know, this is the thing. And
in the case of Havoc and the Neptunes and Timbaland, if we're talking about hip-hop beats, putting him above them.
Alchemist, so man, it's like
pretty high up.
It's like
Metro, the only person from this generation can even deserves to be talked about in this conversation. This is high-level conversation we have.
We've had this John Stockton conversation on this show before, because for anybody who's new to the show, know we correlate basketball specifically, but sports with hip hop.
Large Professor Q-Tip Marl in this conversation.
Why is it when we talk about the greatest point guards ever, no one ever brings up Stockton? And when you look at the fact that Stockton has 2 records that are very point guard specific that will never be broken. No one's ever going to break his steal record. No one's ever going to break his assist record. It's just not going to happen. I mean, we look at the number. It's just not going to happen. LeBron's like, I want to say LeBron's top 10 in steals or something, right? Numerically, LeBron would have to play 10 more years at the same rate at his highest level to actually reach that man's record. Saying all that to say, when it comes to great producers, I think one of the reasons why we don't mention Alchemist with some of the names you mentioned is exactly what you just said. It's the eye test or ear test in this, scenario, is he doesn't have those big highlights. I think his biggest highlights, we gonna make it and keep it thorough. Right?
Are those the highlights at this point?
I don't know.
Still? Okay.
I mean, if we talk about those songs, like you just play the track in the background or something and, people start spitting, is that the test? Like if you on Flex and a beat that people are going to play to freestyle over, what Alchemist tracks are people going to pick? Hold You Down, maybe? You know what I'm saying? Or DJ's just going to throw on for people to rhyme on?
Keep It Thorough
Keep It Thorough, Hold You Down, and we gonna make it. But Keep It Thorough is probably number 1.
Keep It Thorough is getting played. As far as like beats that rappers want to and can't rap over immediately off. Yeah.
Exactly. And and I think that when you actually are such a great album maker like Alchemist has proven to be for so many different people take it for granted. People take John Stockton's passing ability and pick and roll abilities for granted, and consistency and his ability to be in the right place and steal the ball for granted. And it doesn't look as flashy as when, other point guards do it. So people don't take that in consideration.
Well, Mike, you want to know why that is because it's almost like this. Part of the reason why we compare the NBA and we compare rap is because they're really specialty field type of jobs. Okay? When you find your greatest players usually have about 1 or 2 specifications that separate them from everybody else in their class. And what John Stockton and Alchemist's problem is that when you put them up against the people who they belong against, they don't have the same level of specifications. So I have a list of the other people who I believe are the 10 greatest point guards of all time that I could just think of off the top of my head. I do not count Allen Iverson and James Harden as point guards. Are we clear on that?
Oh, yeah.
So not point guards.
Allen Iverson's definitely not a point guard. Eric Snow was his point guard. He's just point guard height. Yeah.
Is James Harden a point guard to you, or is he a 2 guard?
He's a 2 guard to me.
Is Russell Westbrook a point guard to you?
He is.
Why?
He plays the actual point guard position. He doesn't do it very well. He shouldn't be a point guard, but he actually is.
He's the guy that we're putting at number 10 for right now, with a star by it, because I can't think of anybody better off the top of my head.
Well, I want to hear your top 10 point guards real quick.
I got 9. I couldn't think of 10. I have Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry, Jason Kidd, Gary Payton, Oscar Robertson, Chris Paul, Steve
Wait.
Nash.
Time out. Are these people you're picking over Stockton?
Over Stockton, this is just the top. This is just the top 9, really, in general. But what I'm trying to point out to you is that all of these guys really have certain specifications, maybe with the exception of Nash, that make people that give credence to them being better than Stockton. It's like this. It's like
there's no way Gary Payton's better than John Stockton.
Hold on. First of all, this is exactly what I'm saying. Gary Payton is clearly, of all 9 people on this list, the best defensive player on this list, and the game gets played on both sides. He's the greatest defensive point guard of all time, and he averaged more points per game for his career than John Stockton, even though he wasn't a better shooter. So he's a better scorer of the basketball and a better defender than John Stockton.
Why is he a better defender exactly? Because, I mean, again, we look at John Stockton's steals. He has, by far, the most steals of all time.
I'm going to give you one reason why. Because Michael Jordan didn't average 30 points in the NBA Finals one time, and who was guarding him when it happened?
Man, Michael Jordan was trying to hold off.
Nobody trying to hear that.
Come on, no. Let's keep it above. Let's keep it above. Let's keep it above.
Close to 30. He wasn't even sniffing 30.
Cool. Michael Jordan was trying to win that championship on Father's Day.
It's like 40.
He wanted to win that. No, it was the first. I want to put this in context for some of our younger viewers who weren't there. This is the 72 and 10. This is 72 and 10.
Seattle won that year. People forget Seattle won 67 games.
I understand what you're saying. Let me finish real quick. This is the 72. You're not gonna let me finish. I'm not. No, let me finish this. This is the 72 and 10 Bulls team. Michael Jordan was just coming back from a full season. It's his first playoff run since his father had passed. His father wasn't by his side. Father's Day was coming up. They ran through the playoffs like it was nothing. Gary Payton picked him up after they went up, 3-1 or whatnot? Something like that. Anyway, Michael Jordan was trying to win that championship on Father's Day, man. Come on, let's be real. Like he said on the documentary, I had no problem with the glove.
All I have to say is that the stats will say, go look at Michael Jordan's scoring average in every other NBA Finals except for that one.
Well, we'll look at them when they match up against each other.
Because the rest of the Finals averages are like this, Mike. They're like 34, 35. 37, 41. Not for a game, Mike. For the series, those averages are like that. But in that series, about 25.6, 25.8, that's Gary Payton. Gary Payton also averaged 19 points a game for his career, which is more than John Stockton. Gary Payton is also the only point guard to ever really win Defensive Player of the Year as a point guard that I can think of in any sort of modern day time or recent memory. That is a fact.
All right, I'm going to go back and do...
A point guard won Defensive Player of the Year. His name is Gary Payton. The last shooting guard to win Defensive Player of the Year is Michael Jordan. And that's why he's considered to be the best defensive player of all time as a 2-guard. And why I tell people who think Kobe is better is like, yeah, Kobe's a better shooter. But what about that guy who won Defensive Player of the Year as a 2-guard? So don't take Gary Payton's defense out of this. You would take Gary Payton over John Stockton. You would.
I would not. Sophia S. says, Gary Payton calls John Stockton the hardest player he ever played against, for the record. Yes, you're right. Listen. I mean, we're not even going to go there when it comes to
Robertson. You think John Stockton's better than Oscar Robertson? Isaiah Thomas? Steph Curry? Jason Kidd?
I think he's a better point guard than Steph Curry. I think he's a better point guard than... Well, Jason Kidd's one of the best I ever seen.
He's not better than Jason Kidd.
Yeah, it's hard to say he's better than Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd does some things without the ball. He's like an on-floor coach, general, and all that. I love Steph. Steph comes up small, man.
It's too many rings. It's too many rings in MVPs, Mike. You can't. No, it's too many rings in MVPs.
He has 0 finals MVPs. He's been to the finals 5 times and has 0 finals MVPs.
Let's count all the point guards on this list with more than 2 rings. That would be Steph Curry and Magic Johnson. All right.
Man, Steph got his rings because they had a super team, Coop. Stop it, man. He got his rings because... No. Let's put this in context because rings don't even mean everything in that situation. You went out here. You had a 73-9 team. You gave up a 3-1 lead. And you had home court advantage. You choked. And your answer to that, after a 73-9 season and choking in the finals, Game 7, you go get the second best player in the league. That's where your rings come from. And the other ring, let's be totally honest, comes from the fact that Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love went down in that finals. When Kyrie was there, he bust your ass in the finals. And I love Steph. I hate that happened. But I have to be 100% real. I don't respect Steph's rings like that to say that he won them because he has no finals MVPs. He has 0. KD got both of those, as he should, because KD came over there and made the difference. He's not on the... All right, rings are rings, but his rings aren't on the same level as Isaiah's. They're not.
Kyrie had 25 points going into game 1 of that fourth quarter. He's busting Steph up something lovely.
People are saying I'm trolling. How am I trolling, man? You know me. I was supporting Steph the whole time. Steph comes up small, man.
If you let me speak.
I'm sorry.
First of all, for those of you who don't know, Mike's probably been the biggest Steph Curry proponent in the midst of their run has anybody who knows Mike. But Mike, here's the reality of the matter. Magic Johnson, I got Isaiah over Steph too, just so we're clear.
Yeah.
I got Magic. If we're on my list, I have Magic, Isaiah, I got Steph, I got Kidd, I got Oscar, and then I got CP3 and Stockton and Nash all right there on the same level. And Peyton, all of them right there after that. But Steph is a better point guard than Stockton because here's what I'm saying.
He's not. He's a better shooter than Stockton.
Listen to what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about, the specification of it. The fact that you have a point guard who is the best shooter of all time changes the way that position gets played. Stockton may be the all-time assist leader, but we all know who the greatest passer of all time is, and it's not Stockton, it's Magic Johnson. He doesn't have Magic's passing ability. So even though he might be the all-time assist leader, when we think about passing the ball and that high passing IQ and floor general, we think of Magic.
I think he's number 2 on that, though. And I think that, the longevity of it all kind of...
Him and Kidd.
Yeah.
And LeBron, actually, if you really want to be honest. Kidd and LeBron.
This is the thing, though. It depends on what you're looking for in a point guard. And we're going to bring this back to the whole producer conversation because it does depend on what you're looking for in a producer. Are you looking for somebody like Just Blaze that's going to get you home runs? Or are you looking for somebody that's going to make you an album? I think that right there is the comparison. Who would you, if you're an artist coming out the gate, who do you want producing your album? Just Blaze or Alchemist? Who's the better producer? Alchemist or Just Blaze?
Alchemist. See, but that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Just Blaze. Hold on.
Just Blaze is flashy, though. Just Blaze
is dope, and I love Just Blaze. Just Blaze is not in this conversation. I'm talking about Dre, Kanye, Large Professor, Primo, RZA, DJ Paul, Dilla.
Oh, you got Large Professor over Just Blaze?
You don't?
I don't know if I do. And I love Large Professor. Let's look at the resume.
If you want to talk about resume,
we got to look at the resume.
But as a beat maker, Large Professor's a better beat maker than Just Blaze. Yes, he is.
Based on Breaking the Atoms.
Because
what are you basing it on?
I look at Large Professor and Q-Tip as beat makers as just a step behind Dilla and Pete Rock.
No, I do not. I'm sorry. I love Large Professor, but he's not on Q-Tip's level like that. No.
Okay, Mike.
Because I'm saying, what projects are you talking about? We got Breaking Atoms.
We do have Breaking Atoms, Mike.
Yes. We have his contributions on Illmatic.
Yeah. He's done a lot of just Queen stuff in general, Mike, but
it doesn't compare to what Just Blaze has done, though. And I know Large Professor did Halftime. I do know that.
I think everybody knows
that. We know that. He did. All right. Let's be more specific for everybody who's out there, because we do have a larger audience now, not just the people who are in the chat. Large Professor did Halftime. He did It Ain't Hard to Tell, which is one of my favorite tracks on Illmatic. And he did One Time for Your Mind. Okay? I think looking at the front door.
You're the man to me, but yeah.
Yeah. We'll get to You're the Man. What else did he do on Stillmatic? Was You're the Man there?
I think You're the Man was the only thing, because You're the Man was a carryover. It was supposed to be on I Am, I think.
I love looking at the front door.
Oh, there we go. That's where I got you. That's what I was thinking of. I'm trying to think he did something before Breaking Atoms. Mike, Large Professor, Cool G Rap, Wanted, Dead or Alive.
Okay.
That's Large Pro.
You know, and he did a lot of work that was on Let the Rhythm Hit Him too.
Mike, he's on Midnight Marauders. Keep It Rolling is Large Pro.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Coop, and I'm not just
saying this. I don't love the record.
That's the only song on the on Midnight Marauders that I skip. I go right to lyrics to go. I do. Oh no, I go right to I'm down to wreck your body and say turn the party out. Yeah. People in the chat are saying you're tripping. I mean, yeah, Just Blaze got that on Resume alone. I mean, you got You Don't Know, man. He got Song Cry. He got Pump It Up, even. You know, it's a lot. He got The Rock from Cam. He got not Oh No. What I'm talking about. The Cam record. What's wrong with me? Live television, man.
The Rock.
Not The Rock. Oh boy. I was about to say, oh baby. Oh boy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He got I Really Mean It. He got some heaters, man. We're not gonna front on Just Blaze like he ain't got some home runs.
Okay, Mike. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, did he make Wanted, Dead or Alive, or Breaking Atoms, or
he made You Don't Know, man. Come on, dog. Let's not be like that.
I'm saying no. You're talking about You Don't Know. I'm asking you something. Has he executive produced the album The Caliber of Wanted, Dead or Alive by Cool G Rap or Breaking Atoms, and has he contributed to a project the caliber of Illmatic multiple times?
You want to do a mock versus with me where I got Just Blaze and you got Large Professor?
I mean, Mike, if we playing verses, you're probably going to win because of the flashiness, but the beat making of it, I still say what I say. He's a better beat maker.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. And I love Large Professor. I don't want to sound like I'm slamming Large Professor. He's not better than Just Blaze.
Okay, I mean, if you want to say that, that's fine. So you think Just Blaze belongs in this conversation?
Yeah, Just Blaze. What do you have against Just Blaze? You think that Just Blaze is a second tier guy?
This is my top. Hold on. Listen to the names that I'm naming. This is just my top tier. I have Dr. Dre, Kanye West, The Neptunes, Timberland, Primo, Havoc, DJ Paul, RZA, Jay Dilla, Q-Tip, Pete Rock, Marley Marl, Metro. You got Just Blaze in there?
I think Just Blaze is better than Havoc. I do.
I'm out.
What do people think in the chat? I do. That's the verses I will take with you. You want to do that one?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to do that right now. I want to skip the show and do that right now and ruin your life, Mike.
We're not going to do that right now. We got a lot to get to. We might do that Wednesday, though. I'll take Just Blaze. Give me what we do is wrong. Yeah, give me Exhibit C. Yeah, man. I'm taking Just Blaze.
You do that.
Let's do it. Mad Max says Metro booming. Now I'm kind of with Coop on that one. Metro got a lot of stuff.
Metro got a lot of heat over the last 10 years. Where y'all been? Yeah, see, there go. That's some of that bias coming into play. Now Metro is he got the hits and like the street shit and like he got a lot of everything.
And let me be clear. I don't think that the Just Blaze and Havoc is like some landslide thing. That's a tough one for me, but I'm going Just Blaze, man. I got to give him credit.
Mike, here's what I'm saying.
Lynn says Just Blaze is better. I got some people on my side.
I can beat all of your best beats with Havoc's best beats. You know that, right? Like if you play You Don't Know, I'm going to play Shook Ones. Good night. You know what I'm saying? You want to play What We Do Is Wrong? That's cool. I'll play Hell on Earth. Good night.
Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Mark this on the calendar, people. We're going to do a mock versus. I got Just Blaze and you got Havoc. I can't wait. This is going to be great.
And I'm not going to use Drink Away the Pain or Give Up the Goods because that's Q-Tip.
Well, that's Q-Tip.
Yeah, Eye for an Eye is Havoc, though. Eye for an Eye is Havoc. That's Havoc. Live nigga rap is Havoc.
Well, let me ask you this. You think that the Alchemist could take out any of these guys in the verses? Let's go versus wise, right? Like
I'll tell you the guys. No, I'll tell you the guys that he can't take out. He can't take out Dre. He can't take out Kanye. He can't take out RZA. He can't take out Primo. You can't take out Neptunes or Timbo because of the hits.
Yeah.
You can't take out DJ Paul because of the effect. Everybody else is fair game.
I would like to see.
He can't take out Q-Tip either, just because of the nostalgia about the classicness. So he can't take out Q-Tip either, and he's not a better beat maker than Dilla. That's what I'm saying. But everybody else is fair game.
I think Q-Tip is a very sneaky versus, producer. I mean, I think we did a segment where we thought that it's not far fetched that he could actually contend with Dr. Dre, who I feel no one can beat. And happy birthday to Dr. Dre today, too. Not to date our show.
Beat-wise, if he plays One Love, Give Up the Goods, Drink Away the Pain, and Breathe and Stop, those are 4 beats that he made that nobody ever really talks about him making that are great.
Jordan House says, it's funny because Alchemist battled Just Blaze. It's on YouTube. It is.
It did? How did that go?
I do remember that. This was a while back, I believe. I'm going to go check it out. How did that go? Not Jason House.
Before Alfredo and the price of tea in China?
Jordan House, let us know how that went. But again, things have changed since then as well. But we're talking about Havoc in Just Blaze.
You don't want that?
DeCarlo says Dr. Dre would beat Primo. Of course he would. RZA beat Primo, but I called that one too. It's them damn home runs, man. But what I will say though, what makes Alchemist different is Alchemist his consistency. Is it fair to say, of all the people that you name, Alchemist's consistency trumps theirs?
Yes.
That goes a long way.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Because when we attach something to all those guys have peaks, don't they? What's Alchemist's peak? We really don't know because
it's still going.
It's going on today, like live on According to Hip Hop. Starting off the show. Yep. Next.
Well, shit. We're just on Big KRIT. Okay, Big KRIT's album dropped today. You listen to it. It's called, I keep forgetting it because it's one of those long titles, Digital Roses Don't Die. I like the title, first of all. We're living in an NFT environment. A lot of things are digital, and I think I think that's probably a play on that. Digital Roses Don't Die. I love that. And not to mention, we're talking the streaming era, and he's getting his roses. I think it all works. What were your thoughts on the album? Or do you want me to start?
You start.
All right. Well, I've always had this thing with Big KRIT where it's like, I felt like he was always almost regurgitating sounds that he was influenced by. I think we all do that early on in, when you're trying to find your style. You hear that in every artist. And for his particularly, it was artists that I grew up on, the UGKs, the Outcasts, and the 8 Ball MJGs. And so I think early on with his material, things that were new to people that were gravitating to him were kind of old to me. So I didn't get into him as much in a way because I felt like some of the stuff that he was doing had been done better. Or at least had been done during a time where I was where it was very impactful for me, I guess, or impressionable is the word I was looking for. So anyway, I'm always checking for KRIT stuff because I like him. I like his perspective. I like where he comes from. I think that he's a dope MC that doesn't get his just due because of some of the approaches that he takes to music. I thought that him signing to Def Jam didn't do anything for his rise. I think that he was bigger when he had a buzz. I hated that he signed to Def Jam, and I'm glad that he went the other direction of the majors and isn't in line with that. With that being said, this project, it sounds a little bit more the same of what I was saying earlier, but it sounds like some level of growth from that, if that makes any sense. It still takes on some of those themes, but these are good songs. It reminds me, and I hate to compare people to shit, but it reminds me of some big boy-ish horns, stylistically, some things that maybe I would think Andre 3000 would do if he was rhyming on a solo tip. And I like the songs, but I don't think it's anything that you said something earlier where you feel like KRIT never found his sound.
Mm-hmm.
I don't totally feel that way. I think he goes in and out of his sound.
What is the sound?
When I played the project, I liked the project, but it was a couple of songs when this was a couple of years ago. I want to say this might have been 2017 or 18 when he was coming out with those little projects like where he was doing like 3 songs each or whatever.
Like 18.
It's like a little series he was doing.
19, right?
And he dropped one. I think it was called Thrice or something, and it had learn from Texas, learn that shit from Texas, and he had Pick Yourself Up on there, and I'm like, those are the ones, and I wanted him to do more of that, not more of that, but just that energy. And so even when I was listening to this project today, I went back and listened to those. Like, am I tripping? And when I heard those or learn that shit from Tex, I turned it up. Like, that was, to me, that didn't sound like anybody. It sounded like him. Dark Matter says, never messed with KRIT, but though he thought he should do a project with David Banner. I think that's equatable. I think that I think KRIT's nice though. That's the crazy part about it. You know who he reminds me of? He's very similar skill set wise to a J. Cole. I think he's a better producer than J. Cole.
He is.
And I think as a rapper, they're very comparable. I'm talking about skill set wise, right? Like if we talking about bar for bar, I think they're very comparable. I think J. Cole's able to do more. I think J. Cole's versatility sets him aside, and his skill set and his vulnerability and what he gives you makes him different. But I think that they're very, very comparable, honestly. But I just think that the output on a home run level, and it's crazy we're saying that in comparison to J. Cole, just doesn't equate to Cole. It's hard, man. It's hard.
You remember David Banner's group?
Firewater.
Firewater's the record with Noriega.
What was the group? Yeah, but that was the group.
Crooked Letters.
Yeah, that's it.
Firewater was the track with Nori.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gray Skies was the album. I was working in the record store, Manifest, that I've talked about frequently in Charlotte when Gray Skies came out. That's how I found out about David Banner. So on that album, I heard David Banner's producer potential, but the other guy on there, Kamikaze, he was a dope-ass rapper, Mike. And I felt like one of the worst things that ever happened to Kamikaze was the fact that somebody told David Banner how stupid talented he was and that he could do it by himself, and he went and did it. Big KRIT has been somebody for me his whole career that is always kind of, I wish would have had a David Banner so he could handle more of the MC duties. I feel like he's always been handling too much, and that's why he hasn't been able to find his own style, because he's just dope enough as a producer that it takes away from who he is as an MC.
I could see that. I agree. Because sometimes, and again, same thing with J. Cole, right? Like, sometimes as an MC, and as talented MC, you need to step back and let somebody handle those duties so you don't have to worry about those things, and they can give you direction. We just talked about how Alchemist steps in and totally puts a battery behind whatever MC he's working with to a degree where he's able to give you that direction and he's able to help you make a full project. And yeah, I think J. Cole and Big KRIT have a similar problem in a way where it would help. It would make them better if they would take a back seat. And even if it was a co-producing thing, let's just say, right, like, let's just say organized noise for experience reasons or whatnot. So you know what, we're going to take on this Big KRIT project. but they still get the input from Big Crit as a co-producer, and they kind of go in on it together. I think that would make a world of difference.
Well, you're absolutely right. I was actually thinking, like, when you think about J. Cole, like, let's go to like when J. Cole, because I don't think J. Cole is in that place in the career where he even cares about necessarily making singles anymore when he's dropping projects.
Mm-hmm.
But in the time when he was doing those things, but that was around the time Hit Boy was getting some shine, and it was like, well, I go back and listen to some of those Cole records, and I listen to how dope Hit Boy sounds with a top-notch lyricist like a Nas, and I'm like, man, happened. I'm like, Cole could have called Hit Boy to co-produce some of these joints, and they would have came off a little bit better, a little bit cleaner, maybe.
That's one thing Kendrick does
the biggest
right.
Hit Boy fans. I'm just using it to contextualize how just like a little bit of help in some of those spaces can make all the difference when you're already great. Like,
that's one thing. Great. That's one thing that Kendrick does right. He lets producers produce. Let me go to the super chat real quick because I know we're gonna get even more into this. Ray Realms, shout out to him. He says Alchemist is my favorite producer of all time. Nevertheless, there are some producers that can defeat him in the verses. Yes, okay, that's honest. And DeCarlo has a super chat here. DeCarlo says, "Where do you guys rank KRIT among his Slaughterhouse peers?" Slaughterhouse?
I'm not part of Slaughterhouse.
Okay, I'm confused. Are we talking about Crooked Eye, Joe Budden's Slaughterhouse?
Ortiz?
Okay, we got another super chat. We'll get back into it. Jay Short says, do you think bring in an era without much sampling has hurt? Being in an era with not much sampling, has hurt KRIT. His mixtapes are better.
Has hurt who? What did he say?
KRIT.
You talking about Adam still?
No. He said, do we think that KRIT being in an era that doesn't have a lot of sampling, has that hurt him musically?
No, I'm going to go back to him not finding his style again, because the thing about his best stuff to me was always that, well, UGK and Outkast and 8 Ball and MJG did it better than you did it. So I'm more likely to go listen to their best stuff than your stuff.
That was my thing too. And you know what? If that's what it is, right? If that's what it is.
What it is.
No, I'm just saying.
Not that. We're talking about UGK, 8 Ball, and MJG, and Outkast.
I agree. If that's what it is, though, you go out there and seek out Organized Noise, Mr. DJ, or whatever, and y'all work together and make this thing bigger. But that's how you feel that he didn't find his sound, right? Has he ever worked for Big Boy?
Because the best stuff of his sound really wasn't his sound. And so when you did it the best, it's like I can go to somebody else's sound and better. And so even when you go to Big Boy is the author of some of that sound.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though if he doesn't execute it, it's like author.
Yeah.
Author.
I mean, I got some of that even with this project. I mean, I like the songs.
So can we go to this project? Because I really, really enjoyed this project. But this was the thing, and I can't help but go to this. And this will be a great transition to go to the next thing. This album is what The Love Below would have sounded like had Andre been in more of a rapping place still, to me. And I say that in a complimentary way. Yeah. And KRIT is not Andre. So the star power, charisma, and all the nuances that come with Dre that make him so epic are not there. But I'm just talking about in terms of putting this project together, like on some love meets rap, kind of sing-song, like deep-rooted southern. Like, yeah, it sounds really, really dope, but it's still like, man, this is what we wanted 3 Stacks to do on The Love Below was my takeaway from it. And I feel that way about the best work that KRIT always does. I always find myself going back to his predecessors and being like, man, listening to this project really makes me think about that. And that's my thing.
And then I'll go back and listen to it. Right.
It makes me, it's like when KRIT's best stuff, it's like, man, I really want to hear Riding Dirty or AT Aliens right now. Man, I want to hear The Love Below right now. I shouldn't feel that way when I'm hearing some of your best stuff.
I agree. New music should feel like new music.
Right, because your project's really dope. I thought about another artist, specifically about one song, Mike, the song Generational in Way Down, where he's talking about the generational curses. It's a masterfully and beautiful written record. It is one of those things that make people believe that KRIT is the type and caliber of lyricist that Cole is. There's the evidence of it. But I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, these type of songs exist because Kanye made Jesus Walks. He made it okay to talk about all these things.
Man, I can't wait to talk about this Kanye documentary, man.
You like my transitions, Mike? I got some 3 stacks and some Kanye for you. Go.
I know you said we got to get off at about 7:30. Is that still true?
We got a little bit more leeway. I might have some 8-ish time I'm working with.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay. Because I know it's 6:45 over here on the East Coast. Because I do want to get into this Kanye documentary, and I want to get into this Kendrick podcast. We could kind of cap off this big KRIT conversation, but it is interesting you said that about Andre, and I think I said earlier offline that it does sound like at moments if Andre were to make a solo rap album, these are some things that we would want to hear. And it made me think about, Happy Valentine's Day verse, because it was just Valentine's Day, and that's on the album. It's one of the few times he rapped on that album. And what Andre did very well is he doesn't waste bars, and everything is right there to the point. I think that's why people hold him so high for such little output. Like, got a sweet little darling back in my corner. Below, I know I love her. Yet act like I don't want her. Surrounded by the lonely, but yet feel like a loner. Could be an organ donor the way I give up my heart. And it's like, damn. And that's 4 bars. 4 bars in, you already feel like, okay, I'm full. Not many people can do that.
No, Mike, I'll never forget this. And this is the best description of Andre I've ever heard in my life. I was riding with my man Byron Lawrence. Me and Byron went to UNCG together in Greensboro. I was riding with him in his Mitsubishi Montero when Stankonia came out. And the song I'll Call Before I Come with Gangsta Boo came on. And he looked over at me when Dre got done rapping, and he said, "Cool." He said, "Dre is the best ever at making the simple things in life and making the simple words dope as fuck."
He is.
He's the best ever.
Because I always thought, because when I was growing up, I always thought Andre was so deep. And I'm sitting here, and then you start digging into other lyricists, and it's like, okay, they're using vocabulary, and they're using all kind of metaphors and this and that. He doesn't have to do those things.
Need some hope, like the words maybe, if, or probably. That's him in a nutshell.
Yeah, man. I thought, I thought another line.
Real brilliant.
I thought another line on Akumenai was him in a nutshell when he was like, I was on synthesizer, and he's like, I might look kind of funny, but I ain't no fool. It's like, I mean, that's just, it's simple stuff.
So let's go to that verse. He has a whole bunch of, Before You Come.
I was just going to say, he has a whole bunch of what Jay did on What You Eat Don't Make Me Shit. Like, those are his lines. Like,
yes, that's his style.
Yeah.
That's his style. That's what I'm saying. Like my boy Byron said that because he was talking about how he ended the song. No, I kind of dig those old cute regular draws, and I will pause for your cause. Right. It's simple, but it's like, man, that guy's brilliant when he delivers it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where are we going? Are we going yay or 3 stacks?
Are we going yay, 3 stacks, or
dope album by KRIT though?
Dope album by KRIT. Dope album by KRIT. Again, I want to hear more learning shit from Texas. Me personally.
And I don't know how to rate it on some rap shit, because it's like, if we don't rate Young Thug's album as a rap album, do we rate this as a rap album? Because there's more rapping on here than on Thug's album, but not much.
Not much. It's tough when you gotta rate albums that don't have a lot of rapping from guys who are MCs, and that you're looking for some MCing from. Listen, do we want to go Most Def 3 Stacks? Do we want to go to the Kanye doc, or I think I want to go to the Kanye doc before that Most Def 3 Stacks comment.
I think the Most Def 3 Stacks is going to take less time.
I don't know. It will take less time.
Run it. No.
It'll take less time. But I was going to say, do we want to talk about this Kendrick podcast too? Because people are asking us. I'm seeing that in the chat a lot.
Run that, since that's what according to hip hop is for the people, by the people.
Okay, well, Spotify did a series, or is doing a series that is highlighting. Now, Kendrick Lamar's sophomore album. They're calling it his sophomore album, To Pimp a Butterfly. and it is the Big Hits? Is that what the podcast is? Anyway, it highlights seminal hits and artists who have made seminal hit records. But on this one, they are doing a pivot to highlighting To Pimp a Butterfly because it is a follow-up to a big hit album in Good Kid, Mad City. I want to start this one because I listened to the series first. And I don't know if the people in the chat have listened to this series on Spotify that's highlighting Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly album. But man, I was bored as hell, man. And it's sad because y'all know me. If anybody who's listened to the show, y'all know I champion To Pimp a Butterfly very hard and very heavy. And it started making me think like, damn, is this album really not as good as I have said it was? Because them documenting this album was boring as shit, man. And I'm like, if they were documenting any other classic album that I love, like I would say Supreme Clientele or even B, I would be super interested. And B is not a flashy album, Common's B album. If they were talking about how those things came together, what they were going through recording that, and I think after watching that Kanye West documentary too, just seeing the energy there about, you know, college dropout and all of those things, I'm sitting here amped. To Pimp a Butterfly's documentary or whatever you want to call it, or just highlighting it, man, that shit was boring. I don't know if it was the person who is doing the podcast, you know, no disrespect to him. And I know this is a series that they normally do. Man, I just was not entertained, man. George Clinton was on there. Rhapsody was on there. And I was just struggling to stay awake.
Had a whole Prince story.
And it was uninteresting. I mean, even when they were talking about him screaming in a hotel and all that being real and all that, and it was like, okay, he said that, but when the friend was asked about that, it's like, well, some things don't need to be said. And it's like, okay, well, why are we even talking about this? Listen, man, and then the way that they started this podcast off by talking about the Control verse and talking about what made this Control verse so epic and stopped the game because of the people he called out. And then I'm starting to revisit the lyrics.
Out New York.
Yeah, I'm starting to. No, he didn't just call out New York. He called out Pusha T.
That's how they framed it.
Yeah, they framed it like that, but he called out his peers. All these people that are putting in work. Pusha T, and I'm starting to revisit the lyrics too. J. Cole, I want your fans to not want to hear another bar from you niggas. And I'm like, where you at, man? You talking all this competitive shit because the Control verse, and when we heard Rhapsody sum it up, she was talking about competition, competitiveness, competitive MC,
back, right?
Yeah,
competitive fire back,
yeah.
Right? Where you at?
I guess that wasn't real. I'm sorry, man.
I tried to tell you.
I don't care what anybody say. He is falling off of he's coming down the list, and it's because of that Control shit. If you built yourself as an MC who didn't care about those things, like on some Mos Def type shit, cool. But if you're talking about this being the best and you talking about the way you're rapping where niggas don't want to hear another bar from another nigga, you don't even get on songs with niggas. And there's a lot of songs out here to get on right now.
You can get this work.
Yeah.
Mike, it's like this. You know the way rap look like right now? It looked like the way that it be looking in the projects, like when the winter first leaves and it start getting hot out in the midday the first time and everybody start hitting the court and everybody outside putting their hands up like wanting some run. Mm-hmm. No, that's what I was trying to say. It's like, no, now's a great time to come outside and get some run.
I love
like if you like Mike, if you play this game at this level that you keep telling us that you played, I told you, first of all, can we just go to this Control verse again? Because I just got to keep on reiterating the fact that it's not even the best actual lyrical verse on that song. That would belong to Jay Electronica. This was name dropping braggadocio that is good to ignite competitive fire and spirit.
If you follow it up.
if you're going to follow through with it and make a career out of it, Mike, almost as soon as he did this verse, we get this To Pimp a Butterfly modified Zen level Kendrick, who's not into that thing of competition because he phrased above all these other MCs. And what I keep trying to tell you is it's like, man, ain't nobody trying to hear To Pimp a Butterfly out here in the streets if you don't put Daytona and Alfredo on right now.
Yo, why do we love Reasonable Doubt so much? Because of who this man became. This man followed through. No, why do we love Reasonable Doubt so much? Because this man followed through on everything that he said he was going to be, right?
Consistent.
Yeah. If Jay-Z would have pivoted and turned into something else other than what he said he was going to be on Reasonable Doubt, we wouldn't hold Reasonable Doubt so high. The Internet Artist Repertoire says, y'all acting like from 2011 to 2018 he wasn't the best. I wouldn't say 2018 because Daytona was 2018 and Damn was 2017. So if we want to talk about 6 years, honestly, no. In 2011 he wasn't the best. Let's just say Good Kid, Mad City, 2012 to 2017. We're talking about a 5-6 year run, y'all. And it's 2022. Right.
No, it's not because Good Kid, Mad City came out in October.
Okay.
Of 2012.
Okay.
And
Damn was early 17.
Of 2017. So you're talking about 4.5 years.
Yeah. And then my thing is too, man, like, okay, you do the control verse. There's other guys that respond, that give strong responses. And I think one of them was Papoose, right? You act like those things don't exist. I don't understand it, man. Like you said, like if you want to put it out there, like you want that smoke, and then just walk away from it, it doesn't settle well with me, man. I just got to call a spade, and I like Kendrick a lot, and I think that when we talk about album for album, his output is very tough to match from any MC in any era. But I watch Last Dance all the time. There's no way in the world Michael Jordan would have sit there and said whatever, and while he's in his prime, turned down an invitation to go one-on-one with anybody.
Oh, no. See, hold on. Let's reframe that. Not only would he have accepted the invitation, but Mike, he probably would have been sending like that guy, like funeral flowers before like that competition would go down and be like, hey, I want to let you know this is about to be bad for you.
Yeah.
I told you, Mike, it's like when Larry Bird walked in that time for the 3-point contest and was like, which one of you motherfuckers taking second today? Because you ain't getting shit today.
DeCarlo says
you're not getting nothing today.
DeCarlo says Papoose LOL when has he ever been relevant? That's a huge reach, Mike. It's not about being relevant. This is about being an MC. And y'all can say relevant or whatever. Papoose is nice. And my thing is, if you the dopest, you're the dopest, no matter who says anything.
The relevancy matters. The relevancy matters, so I get what he's saying about Papoose, but also get what you're saying when you're saying it's just like, no, don't act like didn't nobody want to give you no smoke. Did you accept the smoke? I'm going to keep going back to what I was saying about the verse. Anybody that's ahead should hear that Jay Electronica actually has the better verse.
Jigga gave it to J.O. Felony in his prime. Jay-Z gave it to J.O. Felony while he was giving it to Prodigy, while he was giving it to Nas. I mean, listen, if you are confident, huh?
Go ahead.
He didn't back down from anything. Now, he could have lost to Nas, whatever. But at the end of the day,
back down. No, he didn't back down.
That's the thing.
No, Jay likes competition.
Exactly.
Jay thrives on competition.
And see, my thing is a lot of these guys,
Kendrick, competition except Nas.
Kendrick in particular, and he still competes with Nas, regardless. Like, I think Kendrick's approach, and Drake has this approach too, is they want to do what Jay did in the way that Jay did it on a competitive level, but y'all not accepting the smoke that Jay was willing to accept. Imagine this. You taking on Prodigy and Nas at the same time?
Hold on.
He was full of it.
Hold on. We spend a lot of time on this show giving Nas props and even giving Nas props in reference to Jay. All these dudes they don't have half of Jay's competitive spirit, fervor, or backbone when it comes to this rap shit. We're talking about a guy that will battle DMX live, like on some street shit.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about a guy that is not afraid to trade bars with Biggie when nobody knows who he is outside of small rap circles in New York and head circles like around certain parts of the United States. We are talking about somebody, Mike, like you said, that invited a battle with Prodigy and Nas at the same damn time on some future shit. These dudes are not hoes.
This man battled LL Cool J before he had a deal outside of a club. You know what I mean?
Whole backbone?
Yeah.
Oh, whole backbone strong.
And see, that's my thing. Like, you want that position, but you know who does have that in him? Pusha T has that in him.
Pusha's all that. That's why I keep telling you. That's why I like him so much. No, he has all that. He's like, oh, you want some smoke? Let's go.
Yeah.
Did you see the interview that he did for his first interview he just did in a couple of years?
The Complex interview. No, I didn't see it.
Mike, he's like, I have the album of the year. It's not even much of a question of that. I was like, there we go. He's like, I ain't even thinking about it. He's like, Mike, he was talking on there so greasy that it was like you had to respect it. He was like, I don't like other people making tracks with the Neptunes or Kanye because I don't feel like they can do what I do on the track, thereby being disrespectful on the track when they do it. That's why I like him so much.
I'm looking forward to it, and you can hear it in the music.
Like yeah, he talks like that. He's like, I think it's disrespectful.
Now, he's somebody that's climbing. And, his name stood out to me when they played the Control verse back on this podcast. He mentioned Pusha T in a way where he was like, look, I'm going to out-rap you. I'm going to do this and that. I'm going to be the focal point. I don't know if I know the album for album. Kendrick's better, but I'm sorry, man. Give me Pusha T, man.
Mike, give me Pusha T on the same record that they had together before Kendrick made this comment. That's why Pusha didn't respond. Pusha, in his mind, is already like, well, I already proved that's false because we've already rapped together on a song, and I'm right there with you, if not past you.
Kendrick's not battle tested. And that was an actual opportunity where we could have seen some level of battle testing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that he had to beef with whoever was responding to that. But that was an opportunity. Kendrick wanted it with Drake. And he sneaked this Drake a few times.
I want people to understand this. On My Name Is My Name, on Pusha T's album, My Name Is My Name. When he did Nostalgia, I want people to understand this. He came up with that verse and sent it to Kendrick. Name one other MC around the time that would have even done a verse and then sent it to Kendrick and been confident enough to even be like, yeah, see what you can do with it and still be okay with it. As in, Kendrick got to hear Push's bars and it's still a draw. That's why I always tell you Push, because it's like I pay attention to those moments where I'm like, hold on, we're all in the studio together, and then Push is like, no, I sent him the track and sent him the verse, and I even made the Suge and the West Coast comments to give him something to go off of. It's like, well, all right.
I lost my train of thought. This is what I was gonna say.
Kendrick better than Push?
I mean,
where's the evidence?
Listen, we could get in that conversation, but what I do want to get into is they highlighted on that Spotify podcast that Kendrick was sneak this. Well, I don't want to say sneak this, and he was coming at Drake, right? He came at Drake with the the pajama clothes thing that he did at the BET Cypher. Forgot which year that was. It was the TDE Cypher where he was like, nothing was the same after Control. Had a sensitive rappers coming out their pajama clothes or something like that.
14 or 15.
Something like that. And then he goes on King Kunta talking about, the ghostwriting. And they even highlighted that on the Spotify thing. And I don't know what happened with the Kendrick and Drake thing. It might have been a competitive thing, but I guess that either somebody told Kendrick to stand down or he just wasn't getting a response and he just stopped. Because he was poking for a back and forth with Drake. Do you feel that way?
If he did, we wouldn't have respected that. Like, if we would have been doing a podcast, that would have been the topic of conversation. Like, kind of like why you want to do that. Because here's why I always respected Pusha T. When Pusha T started poking at the camp, he didn't poke at Drake at first. He always poked at Wayne. And here's why. Because Drake is not Wayne on the mic, and Pusha knows what he's doing. He's like, no, give me that guy that y'all keep saying is so super nice and dope on the mic. Give me that guy. Yeah. I'm going to talk about that guy. I want smoke with him. Now, if I keep giving this guy smoke and he don't say nothing, then we're going to get to this other guy, but I'm giving this guy smoke first. He gave it to Wayne for so long, waiting for a response, because that's what I mean. He's like Jay. He's like Cool G Rap. He's like, running from what? Like, who want to rap about what, where? Who want to rap about what, where? Ain't no gonna be no verses calling out names. It's like, who wants to rap about what, where? I'll be there. Y'all think Wayne the best? Bring him here. Because he's talking this while people are saying Wayne is the best MC in the game.
No, for real.
Just going crazy on him, and Wayne saying nothing. And I used to tell people, so like, yeah, y'all think Wayne the best. Wayne don't want this smoke. You don't want that kind of smoke. Same way Kendrick didn't want that smoke. It's like you made that comment after this dude sent you a verse, and you couldn't even like you couldn't outdo him on his own stuff when you had the verse in your hands. You know what I'm saying? When you know these things historically, it's like, I see what you're doing now. I'm not buying all of it.
And you're right. A battle just can't happen, right? You know what I'm saying? Those are one of those things that a climate has to be in line for. And I think during the era that Kendrick, was on his run, and I'm going to say on his run because they're out here doing episodes on like his sophomore album, like he's done with his career. So I think we've seen the best from Kendrick. Now until proven otherwise, right? But I'm gonna say while he was on his run, it wasn't that kind of climate where people are doing back and forth, and he tried to create that with Drake. And if those things aren't the environment, the only way that you're gonna prove all the things that you said on Control is to get on these songs and be the standout. Because those are the things that I'm starting to think back at after listening to that Control verse. I'm like, he's talking about he gonna blow people out on songs, because that's what this was about, right? He was gonna blow people out on songs, but he don't get on these songs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, for me, the Control verse, which a lot of people felt was overrated anyway, is really overrated now. And honestly, it's irrelevant because none of the stuff he said he was going to do on Control, he did.
It was always overrated. That's why I was trying to say it's not even the best verse on that song. It's all fluff. It's air. There is no evidence of him being that guy. Let's run down some guys right now, because this is exactly what I'm talking about bringing your ass outside. I'm about to bring up some guys right quick who are outside, and this is what I mean. And I want you to think about this when I bring up all these guys' names. And I want you to ask yourself one question. Are any of these guys that I am about to name afraid to jump on any record with any MC at any given point in time right now today? Listen to the people I'm about to name. Is Pusha T afraid to get on the track with anybody right now today?
No.
Nas?
No.
Conway the Machine?
No.
Freddie Gibbs?
No.
Benny the Butcher?
Nope.
J. Cole?
Nope.
Jadakiss?
Nope.
Mike, we're going to throw Jay-Z in there too, because his backbone is the same, even though the rhymes may not be the last couple of years. He still is not afraid.
Kendrick's not jumping on the track with Jadakiss.
So that's exactly what. So Mike, Pusha T will jump on a track with Kanye, with Jay-Z, with Jadakiss, Nas. I don't think we even need to go through that. Conway and Freddie and Benny stay working together and sharpening each other's swords.
Yeah.
Stay doing tracks together while we have been doing this the last few years. We are talking about J. Cole just jumping up on whoever's stuff right now and is in blister mode. Like, who want a verse? Who want a verse? You can come get a verse. I rap for a living. Come get a verse. Mike, we heard 3 Jay-Z verses last year. He's out here raising his kids, and he's married to, obviously, the most famous black woman in America. He's married to the most famous black woman in America, not named Obama. And we got 3 verses out of him last year. These guys are not afraid of the competition because they understand where rap is.
Yeah. I mean, again, those... For me, those things are inexcusable.
This is what it is. It is not what this guy said it is on Control, and it's not the narrative that he tries to dictate to make it work for him. It's not.
If you're not able to put together projects or whatever because things aren't coming together well, that's fine or whatever. But when it comes to all the things you said you were going to do on Control, You can jump on tracks. They're tracks. I'm sure that they're wide open tracks. Like all these Alchemist produced projects.
You can't ride the beat to Johnny P's Caddy?
I'm just saying. J. Cole's doing it.
J. Cole's doing it.
He's doing it very well, too.
Nas is doing hooks on Snoop Dogg albums. What are we talking
You're
about?
not even on the Snoop Dogg album.
Why is Nas doing hooks on Snoop's album, but you're nowhere to be seen? Game's on the album.
He is.
Facts.
Again, so we're going to sit here and...
Hey, Mike.
We're going to talk about a 4 and a half year run.
Game's not afraid. Mike,
Never been.
On Jesus' piece, Meek Mill, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Pusha T are all on Jesus' piece at the same time.
Yeah.
Game's not afraid either. Game got like 4 records with Nas. He's one of the few cats that actually got multiple records with Nas.
No, real shit.
He raps with Nas all the time. He's got a joint going back and forth with Raekwon. Him and Raekwon are going back and forth rapping together.
No, real shit.
Real shit. Real shit.
Shout out to DeCarlo with the super chat. He said, I was thinking about Crooked Eye earlier, but serious question. Y'all think that Daytona's better than Victory Lap in 2018? Because I don't. And I've heard people say that they don't think it is. I definitively think it is, but that's just my opinion.
My thing with Victory Lap, if you tell me Victory Lap is better, it's just because you like the full-length player of it and you don't like the brevity of Daytona. Daytona is better slightly. If you take and this is why it's better slightly. The 7 best songs on Victory Lap are still not better than the 7 best songs on Daytona, and there's your problem. Because there's only about 4 to 6 songs on Victory Lap that match up with Daytona, and there's no If You Know, You Know on there.
Book France says Kendrick is like a Sade type of artist. But see, that's my problem.
Don't you ever do that again. My daughter's middle name is Sade. No, we're not about to do that today.
This is the problem. This is the problem.
Not no Sade type of artist because we ain't gonna pay a G to go see Kendrick on the floor when he pops back up. Are you? Because I've done that before about Sade. What me?
No. This is, and I see what people are trying to say. This is the problem with this. I know we're saying that Kendrick is more of one of those artists that moves when he's inspired. Moves when he's inspired. That doesn't work for people who are out here talking about they're eating on your top 5 or whatever, or they're gonna make sure people don't want to hear another bar from you niggas. No, that's a competitive MC who jumps in the ring whenever necessary. How many people, all those people that you named, right? How many songs has Kendrick got with Jadakiss? You know what I'm saying?
No, hold on.
Has Kendrick ever got on the record with Nas?
Here we go with some real facts, and this is where I do have a problem. Everybody that came after that first crop of great MCs that were ultra competitive that refused to work together, as in the only real great rappers from the 80s who you heard work together, which is why the symphony's so great, is Cool G Rap and Kane on the symphony. You don't hear those other guys together.
And Raw remix, yeah.
Raw remix, right. But Mike, and you already know this, Nas, Big, Pop, Jay, everybody after. Part of it is the comp and doing stuff with the comp. Jadakiss, Mike.
Yeah.
When Nas showed up on Jadakiss's first album, he tore Jadakiss a new asshole. Jadakiss kept showing up and doing records with Nas and with Jay because it's part of it.
Blackout,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
John Blaze.
He got Jay and X on Blackout. Nas ate his food on Show Discipline. It's part of it.
We're at a period of time right now where there could be a John Blaze, right?
Right.
No, Kendrick's not getting on those shit.
No. We are getting John Blazes. We're getting Conway Diggs and Benny doing John Blaze.
That's what I'm saying. These things are happening, but the guy who's smoking on your top 5 and the guy who's talking about he's going to blow everybody out on all their records where people don't want to hear no more bars from anybody else is not on any of these songs. Period.
Mike, you know why Benny is saying Conway's the best lyricist? Because competitively, he has to go up against him and deal with it so much. Yeah. He's watching and he's like, man, you know how tough it is to do a verse with this guy? They got back and Mike, those two guys have so many back and forths or verses where they're trading off. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It is getting to a Styles and Jadakiss type of level in terms, maybe even more in terms of the great output that those two guys have together as lyricists, where one guy is coming, Mike, Hell on Earth 2.
K. Thompson says something I want to address. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're going at it. K. Thompson says K. Dot has better albums than all of them dudes you're naming though.
I said
Nas. And again,
I said Nas.
No, I feel you. I mean, but see, again, there could be an argument made.
And I said Jay-Z. No, we said Nas and Jay-Z, so the answer to that is still no.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Even if we want to get past that. But I think he's talking about some of the newer names that we're naming. This is the thing. How long are we going to lean on the fact that Kendrick has made some very great albums? There are other things outside of that, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I'm a person that holds catalog very high. But once we get past this great catalog of albums, not actual individual songs, that Kendrick has amassed, what else do we have? Do we have bangers? Do we have a great rap voice? Do we have somebody who has a bunch of great features? Do we? Do we have a lot of great side projects? Because Kendrick's in the era now where people are teaming up doing side projects. That in this era would actually be an extra criteria that we probably wouldn't consider in a previous era. Do we have longevity really? If we're going to be honest, we're talking about 2011 to 2017. Where's the longevity in this?
No, here's what the problem has happened. And I'm saying this as somebody that wrote an article what is going on 5 years ago now, where I said that we're going to have to start putting him in the top 10. Mike, what was my number one basis on putting him in the top 10?
His catalog, right?
His catalog, Mike. Because I said that those people who want to argue and quibble about other things could, because the hits aren't there like that. The impact's not there like that. The longevity and tenure, not there like that. But lyrically speaking, for where he resides, and what you heard on Damn lyrically, and for what the catalog looks like when you go from Section 80 to Damn, it's like, well, damn. Well, that's a better start than Jay. It's a better start than Nas. It's a better start than Cool G Rap. KR. It's a better start than almost anybody except for Rakim, pretty much, and Big. And so
Big only had two, if we're going to be fair.
Right.
We never got a third from Big.
I'm looking at the totality and the run and the time. So we're looking at Big from 93 to 97, kind of looking at Kendrick from 12 to 16.
Kendrick's start looks like Kanye's start, like Outkast start, like Tribe's start. And I give him
greatest starts ever. Yeah. Like the greatest starts ever. Mm-hmm. So in Outkast and Tribe, Mike, we have two of the 5 greatest groups of all time. Mm-hmm. And in Kanye West, we have arguably, Mike, it's not even a question at this point. He is one of the 5 most influential hip hop artists of all time at this point.
I'm going top 3.
And you can go top 3 if you want to.
I'm going Tupac, then maybe him.
The MC, I immediately thought about Rakim because of how important he is to the MC.
I'm okay with that.
But there's so many guys, but Kanye's in the top 5 easy because Dr. Dre is in there too. There's so many ways to go with that. You know what I'm saying? Because then we get into other aspects of hip hop, because then you can go to like Africa Bambaataa. You know what I'm saying? Certain DJs, Cool Herc. You know what I mean? There's a lot of ways to go with that. But Kanye's top 5 with that.
Cass says something. Grandmaster Cass says something that I thought was very potent. He said that on. He said this on Nas's podcast, The Bridge. He said that people come up to him and say, if there were no you, there would be no me or whatever. He was like, nah, man, this thing is like an energy. He was like, if I didn't do it, somebody else would have done it.
Somebody else was going to do it. He's right.
He's right. I think Kanye's a situation where I don't know though. You know what I mean? It's like, so I don't know if Kanye doesn't come through and do what he did and the way he did it. I don't know if somebody's gonna come and do that.
No, it's because there is some inception and impartation going on with Kanye, because although he is unique unto himself, it's like, well, no, you can see some of the De La, some of the Tribe.
No, it's been done. It's just the way that it all came together in one person. He was that bridge gapper that kind of came at a time where he was able to basically be that bridge between the mainstream and
So,
the quote unquote backpack underground guys.
so let's say something that's very important about impact. When you come along matters, because everything that you just said about Kanye, I can say about Tupac when Tupac came along.
Yeah, no, Tupac is special, and that's why I said that him and Kanye to me are in a different stratosphere.
But very
and
comparable.
Rakim too.
But if you look at the time in which they came along, it plays a factor in their importance.
Oh, definitely.
Now, who timing they are
is
plays
everything.
a big factor too, because these are guys that you can't budge or move.
Yeah.
But the timing was good too. Like, this is what I'm saying. Tupac is literally coming along when Rakim and Eric B are breaking up, and KRS-One took a year or two off from recording, and you haven't heard from Cool G Rap in 2 years, and Kane is doing Playgirl. You feel what I'm saying?
And
Slick
you know,
Rick
and
is
Public Enemy's kind of cooling off a little bit. You know,
in jail. The Public Enemy,
NWA is broken up. Ice Cube's no longer in NWA.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Look at when Pac came around. Yeah, when Pac came around, the only thing in his way was Ice Cube. And as soon as Ice Cube like went down one notch, they were like, "There, go, jump," and it was like.
Well, I think also, man, when you think about the path that Ice Cube took, being on Priority, it was more about him having a better financial situation as opposed to being the biggest rapper in the game. So he was never going to get...
He was also going triple platinum when East Coast artists weren't even selling 500,000 units.
Imagine the type of units that Ice Cube would have sold if he would have signed like to Universal or something. You know what I mean?
50 numbers.
Yeah.
50 numbers. He wanted them to get rich or die trying numbers. Yeah.
So it was more about him actually, you know, doing things that made sense for him and his pockets as opposed to, you know, being the biggest rapper. So you got to put that in consideration too. Now, Pac was everywhere. Pac, you know, he was in blockbuster movies, Interscope, everything. Like, you know, it was just a...
No, I think one of the great transitional moments in hip hop history, Mike, is the fact that the theme song to the movie Juice is Eric B. and Rakim's Know the Ledge, which I think is their great record together. And Tupac's the lead actor in the movie. It is one of the great transitional moments in hip hop history.
Passing the torch.
It is a passing of the torch that we did not see. It's like, no. The guy who got next actually is the guy who is the actor in the movie. Ugh.
Let's get to this Kanye doc, but I do want to wrap up the fact that, yes, the Kendrick Lamar documentary of... not documentary, or the breakdown or a series or whatever that Spotify was doing on To Pimp a Butterfly, for me, was very underwhelming. And I don't think it did the album justice because I love that album. And the stories were really uneventful and unentertaining. It lets you know how unentertaining that album is, even as great as it is. Because that was one of the things that we were just boggled by. It's like, how is this such a great album with no replay value? It's mind-boggling. All right.
So Go ahead. I want to end this by reading our brief text thread yesterday when we listened to this podcast at separate times. This is you yesterday at 4:33 p.m. This podcast about To Pimp a Butterfly is whack, hands up. This Kendrick podcast makes me like To Pimp a Butterfly less. Me at 7 o'clock. This podcast is boring as fuck so far. Okay, wasted an hour of my life. Okay.
That's sad to say about such a great album. And I used to debate which was the better album between To Pimp a Butterfly and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and it's not even close. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is on a whole nother level.
The argument is Good Kid, Mad City and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I'm
still going My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Yes, but I'm saying the argument.
Yeah.
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is winning both of the arguments, but the argument is Good Kid, Mad City, and never To Pimp a Butterfly.
And with that being said, I mean, we got 174 people in the room. Let's talk about this Kanye West documentary that's on Netflix, man.
Yeezy taught me.
It's called Genius. I love it, man. It's a trip down memory lane for a lot of us. I didn't even know what the approach was going to be. I kind of went into it slightly blind. And shout out to Kuda because, I mean, I think that for him to have the foresight to believe in Kanye this early, to the point where he just dropped everything and said, you know what? I'm going to take my camera to New York and we're going to get this footage and do this documentary of this guy that I believe is next up. I think it's beautiful, first of all. And you can see, I mean, it's one thing that you go back and look at certain interviews or whatever. It's one thing that you remember slightly how things happened or things that he said. But it's another to actually see the footage and hear this man saying all the things that he's going to do, how he was going to do it, and seeing the people around him that looked at him like he was crazy for thinking these things. It's amazing, man. And again, even when Kanye does things that people don't totally understand altogether, I'm always riding with him and like, you know what, let me listen to him again and see where he's coming from with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I never write Kanye off as crazy, because even in that documentary, in the first episode that we saw, I mean, we haven't seen the other parts of it. I'm sure it's going to get even better. You could tell people were like, you can't do that. You can't do this. If he listened to the people who told him what he couldn't do, he would be nowhere. And he told them with all confidence. He knew what he was going to do, how he was going to do it. And it worked for him, even though it seemed like the person that seemed to act like his biggest mentor after the fact showed him no love. Jay-Z showed him no love in that documentary. In that first episode, Jay-Z did not look good. Dame Dash showed him a lot of love. And I know Dame Dash probably wanted, you know what I'm saying, to keep his team happy and all of that, but he showed him love. Jay was treating this guy like a dude off the streets, like a fan after he made the blueprint. Like, dude, this man just made Heart of the City for you. He made Takeover for you. He made Izzo for you.
Mike, you're worried about the wrong thing. See, no. See, let's go back to history. So, first of all, there's so many places to go with Kanye, always at all times. So we're actually going to start with Kanye and not start with Jay.
Okay.
With Kanye, and I'm going to tell you something. The issues that I take with him today, with some of the things that he have done, production and engineering wise aside, but when we get into how he is approaching things with involving God and Jesus and the incorporation of it, I want you to understand something. This is the guy that made Jesus Walks. Mm-hmm. Never before in any point in hip hop have I ever seen somebody claim the things that he was claiming early on before this documentary, and it becomes so. And so it's powerful when a guy that's claiming his own prophecy and making songs like Jesus Walks and everything comes to pass. Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. This man is gifted. And so you have to be mindful of the gift, and you cannot abuse the gift. And sometimes I feel like he is abusing the gift, because the documentary is proof positive of what he's capable of. And I'm not talking about on the rap shit. I'm talking about somebody that can speak words out and they take shape and form in real life. It's called prophecy. He knows. That's why he speaks the way that he speaks freely, because he knows what he is truly capable of, like with nothing doing with rap. When you can speak things into existence, you are different. So
he sees things. He sees things.
I want to say it like that, Mike, but yeah, he sees things.
I mean, when he says, I'm Walt Disney, I'm Steve Jobs, the stuff is accurate. Like, it is. You think about what Steve Jobs saw when it came to the iPhone or iPad or even DreamWorks or Toy Story.
That's what I'm saying.
We have never seen anything like that before, but he knew that if I get this out here, people are going to fuck with it. Just like with Kanye. We never saw on a mainstream level during that time a producer respected as a rapper to that level.
Not even that,
and
Mike,
not someone that looked like him too, and that didn't have to go out there in front like there was any level of street in him. Because even, go ahead.
It's deeper than that. That's what I'm saying.
It runs very deep.
It's deeper than even everything that you're expressing. And I apologize for cutting you short. I just
go ahead.
He said, then even for as deep as you're going, listen to what I'm saying. It's deeper than that with this guy. It's deeper than that.
That's why
Steve Jobs, Walt Disney shit. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I know.
This guy's different, special.
That's why, man, when he says things like slavery was a choice, it's like, it sounds awful. But the way his mind is wired, I understand where he's coming from. Because honestly, this is the thing. If it wasn't a choice, there wouldn't be a Harriet Tubman. There wouldn't be a Nat Parker. A Nat Turner, excuse me, not Nate Parker. I'm thinking about the actual movie about Nat Turner. And not to mention the many rebellions that they don't document in history, that they don't talk about. Some people made that choice to say, you know what, I'm going to fight back or I'm going to die. And in his journey, he felt like, listen, they told him what a rapper was supposed to look like, sound like, and cover, right? And if he listened to that, then he wouldn't be the Kanye West that he is. He made a choice to go against everything that they say a rapper was and made it happen.
That's what I'm saying, Mike. So listen to what you're saying. That's why I keep saying it's deeper than that, because we're talking about it in the sphere of rap, but that's because that's how he exists. But Mike, I'm telling you, when this guy talks, when he speaks, the way he behaves like prophets from the Bible. When I hear him, I don't hear rap shit. I hear Ezekiel. Do you know who Ezekiel is? Like in biblical terms? Mm-hmm. Like Ezekiel during his time, people thought he was crazy because he would wake up sometimes and get these visions or these prophecies from God, and he would just run out into the streets and tell everybody about the judgment and the things that were coming and what was going to happen. And people be like, there Ezekiel go again.
Crazy Ezekiel.
It's crazy shit out here in the streets again. And then what kept on happening is all the things started coming to pass that Ezekiel was saying all those years. And Ezekiel stopped looking crazy over time. But what had happened was that so many things got stripped from Ezekiel in order for people to see him. Like Ezekiel's wife got taken from him. And him losing his wife actually wasn't about Ezekiel. It was about people's inability to see the prophecy that Ezekiel was speaking. What is happening to Kanye right now? I see Ezekiel. That's what I mean. It's deeper than even on some rap shit. It's deeper than rap with this guy. Like he's got whole prophecy over him. It's like biblical. Like you can go back to prophets. He behaves like Peter. He behaves like Ezekiel. Damn Nas and Rakim. He behaves like prophets behaved in the Bible. This guy is different.
I know some would think that or feel that these words are blasphemous in that way, but I see exactly what you're saying.
To read.
Yeah, no, it's.
Peter called on demons one time to handle a situation with somebody that he didn't like in the spirit. You know, just because he was that angry and upset, and he got reviled by God for it. Like, people need to do their reading. Like, people look at prophets like they're these healthy and holy guys. There's a reason that Paul is talking about being celibate. He's talking about being celibate because none of the other prophets and apostles are. They're out here doing the things that you're doing. The prophets behave more like us. They behave more like Kanye.
I do think it's very interesting, though, right? I think it's
bitter.
I think it's very interesting that Kanye has always had a spirituality to his music. I mean, I know they kind of attributed it to soulfulness with the soul samples, but even outside of that, there are other people who use soul samples, from Just Blaze to Heatmakers and even Bink. But when Kanye does it, it feels different. One of the parts that I really loved on that documentary was when he wanted to get Scarface on Jesus Walks.
It's my favorite part.
He brings Scarface to the studio, and as great as Scarface is, great songs that he's been on, he plays Jesus Walks for Scarface, and he just doesn't get it. And you know what? That shit happens. Like, there's times I've been in the studio with people who played stuff that came out later. I didn't see the vision. They saw it, and it was big. And then Kanye, being the smart artist that he is, he plays Scarface Family Business, and he loves it. And they knows that that's something that's straight up in Scarface's vein. And even with that soul sample on Family Business, the way he approaches that song, it has a umph to it, a soulfulness that it ain't even about the soul sample. You feel where this guy's coming from. And it's not because he is the dopest MC. He has some of that Scarface Beanie Siegel in him where he's able to make you feel shit that ain't even street shit. He can make you feel that nostalgia of having to share a bed with your cousins and stuff like that everybody has been through.
Actually, you want to know, he might be the only dude that's not a street dude that can make you feel, because all the other dudes are street dudes. Beans, Scarface, Ghostface. Like, yeah, all those other guys are like some street dudes. Pac, you know what I'm saying? Like Ye's the only one that makes you feel on that level without being a street dude. And you want to know what? That Scarface part was very, very key to me, too, because, like, just for me, and this is just a Scarface fan of me, it's like, man, if Face couldn't see this guy in the spirit early and see that thing, nobody in hip-hop was about to see that thing. This guy is special. Guy's special. That's what I took away from it. Mike, you want to know what I thought about? I thought about this. You know that footage where he's just walking around Chicago at night and he just got his crew with it? I know dudes are big. Chicago ain't the type of place you even walk around at night like that.
Well, I mean, I think that city...
It's like he was home and he was unafraid, and he was like when you look at him, like if you look in his eyes when he's walking around, when he's back in Chicago, he looks like a guy that is possessed with something.
He said he loves it. You know what I mean? One of the parts that stuck out for me, too, speaking of the Chicago part, is when he was talking to, oh my God, his name slips me, you know, the producer that he said taught him a lot outside of No ID. No, not No ID. But the other guy. Huh?
What was his name? Diggs?
No, it started with an I. Somebody in the chat helped me out. But anyway, he got on the radio and was dissing Kanye, right? Yeah, and Kanye called him up like, yo, well, it didn't call him up. He called some people like, yo, what's going on? Whatever. He pulled up on dude like, look, man, what's going on? Not on some rah-rah shit. He was like, look, I want to get this straight.
Right.
I mean, listen, I think that what I really got from this documentary so far is he is showing how he stuck to his guns and how nobody in that industry believed in him as an artist. The one person I felt like really believed in him as an artist that I could see it visually was Mos Def. Yeah, Doug Infinite. Doug Infinite's the guy. Thank you in the chat. Doug Infinite. That's the guy that was
Infinite. Okay.
Yeah. What were we saying? I'm sorry.
That's why I said Diggs. It was Doug. Right. You could see Moses' sincerity.
Yeah.
Like somebody that was sincerely impressed and enjoyed being around and vibing with Kanye. There was a sincerity to the vibe.
When he was rapping his 2 words verse, like you could tell he was...
The 2 words verse, the way Mos looked at Kanye, he was like, hold on. Let me tell you something. And Mike, and you know this because as our people are finding out, you can spit. I'm about to drop my stuff tonight to you probably. But when you can spit and you don't know somebody else can spit, and they come after you and they spit at a level that's comparable to yours, even if you feel like they don't have you faded, it makes you shoot them that look like next time we rap.
That's what's up. Yeah.
Next time, but like it's that next time we rap, because it's competitive. And Mos gave him that smile and that look, and that's when I'm like, Ye was dope back then because he did something to Mos.
Well, you remember when Mos you remember when he used to host that Def Poetry Jam, right?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
I remember him announcing Kanye West before anything came out when Kanye did that spoken word from one of the Gold Digger verses. I think it was the second verse. He said, I want to introduce to you guys Kanye West, the future of hip hop. Mos Def called that one. Now, I mean, Talib was there, and I can understand why Talib was hurt by some of the stuff that Kanye's been saying of recent. But it seemed like, to a degree, Talib could have wanted some production. And he got it. But Mos was there. Like, Mos was like, you could tell that he was really vibing with him. Jay wasn't.
He felt him.
Huh?
He felt him. He did.
I kind of felt like Memphis Bleak kind of wanted some beats too, because he was bigging Kanye up as a producer, but he was. I like the parts that Memphis Bleak was in that doc though. Like they were having some real conversations about MCs in Chicago that you're just not coming up out of Chicago like you should be, and they got talent out there. And Memphis Bleak was talking like he wanted to, build with the Chicago MCs.
He did, and I don't care what anybody else says. Memphis Bleak never gets his credit for putting rappers on the YouTube. He's the first rapper I seen make YouTube a thing. And all those other guys around him made YouTube a thing. That even Cam on YouTube, that's Bleak. Bleak was the first rapper. Bleak was the first rapper who I knew who like had some sort of notoriety or some sort of rep that was going on YouTube because he never had enough of a rep. And I met Bleak live with Ja Rule once, and he always felt slighted and understated. And so YouTube was perfect for him. Memphis Bleak never got credit for putting rappers on the YouTube like he deserves.
Now, I've heard that before. You're not the first person to say that. Well, what exactly was he doing on YouTube first? Was he doing
he was the first rapper that I heard popping up, talking shit, doing songs.
Kind of like the Jim Jones shit.
Like, he was the first one that I saw utilizing it. Mike, this is before I don't even remember the name of the album. I just remember the name of my favorite song on there. It's The Hypnotic with him and Beans and Jay. Before that album dropped, it had Round Here on there with Tip and Trick.
Yeah. Was it like 4, 3, 2, 1 or something like that?
Mike, but the year before, he started popping up on YouTube. And even part of the whole Down South movement, Bleak is a part of that because Bleak was doing posts on YouTube from down in Miami. That's how he got plugged the Trick. This is Tip.
Was he doing this before Joe Budden?
I think so. This is Tip before trap music or right around trap music too. Rappers from New York weren't putting Tip on songs.
Everybody in the chat saying Joe Budden was first.
I don't know about that. Was Budden?
Budden was early. I will say that.
I'm still in Greensboro, so this is still 99 to 01 type stuff. Is that Budden?
Well, around here was YouTube didn't start till like 05, I think.
Yeah,
around here, they probably were around similar times, maybe.
We'll
do the research
on that. When I'm hearing about Budden,
we'll do the research on that.
Yeah, let's pull it up. But I feel like it was Bleak.
People saying Soulja Boy. That's possible too. Soulja Boy was the first at everything.
Our ratings and our viewership is about to go up because as soon as Soulja Boy finds out that I went up here and said that Memphis Bleak was the first on YouTube, Mike, I give people smoke. I'm about to catch them smoke.
Did you hear what Memphis Bleak said about the possibility of LL Cool J and Jay-Z in the verses? Around here was 03. Yeah. It was 02, 03, something. So
that's before Budden.
But YouTube didn't start to like.
When did Pump It Up come out? And when did YouTube start?
Look, we'll do all the research and do that later. But did you hear what Memphis Bleak said about LL and Jay-Z possibly doing the verses? He said LL doesn't want it with Jay.
So I tell Bleak that Coop is picking LL's catalog. He wants all that smoke.
I think we've already proven that LL could possibly beat Jay in a verses. But again, with this Kanye doc though, just on the part one, you see how this guy's just a game changer. You see what the climate was like then for MCs and people who weren't there, even all the way down to us wearing more fitted clothes in hip hop, right? Does that start with Kanye? I feel like it does. I don't know about that, man. Who does that start with? Who does that start with? That starts with Kanye, man. Clothes are baggy until Kanye.
These guys dress more like Prince than Kanye, though. I mean,
it got tighter and tighter. But I'm just saying, like, when you look at like the draft class of 03 with LeBron and them in the big clothes and the big jeans, oversized suits, because Kanye was wearing actual fitted suits. Remember? I think it was him and Pharrell that were game changers, but in the sense of, rappers doing that. No, definitely. But Pharrell's Pharrell. I think Pharrell's kind of one of those. You know how they give Allen Iverson credit for tattoos or whatever in the NBA? Pharrell's more of Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman really did it first, but again, Allen Iverson was more of the everyday individual, more as like Kanye is to the rest of the rap scene. I think Kanye changed the wardrobe, and he changed the subject matter. He changed the mentality. What are you over there looking up? You looking up YouTube?
Damn right.
YouTube started at 05, man. We'll get to all that. We don't
No,
have a lot of time.
It's not even that. It's the fact that Soldier Boy might be right. Damn it. Damn it, Soldier Boy might be right.
Yeah, he might.
All right, no, Soldier Boy tell him. God damn it.
Kanye changed the wardrobe of what a rapper looks like moving forward. He really changed the subject matter. I mean, when you talk about what hip hop on a mainstream level was doing content wise, it was not what Kanye was doing. And anybody from Cole to Kendrick, and Kendrick even said on that Spotify episode that the beginnings of To Pimp a Butterfly actually started with him being on the Yeezus tour, because Kanye gave him an extra bus for the studio and actually sent him a track that was all whacked out, and it kind of started the To Pimp a Butterfly phase. Kanye's responsible for most of the game right now, or the game that was after him.
That was the most fascinating part about the entire boring ass podcast. And
are you talking about the Kendrick thing? Yeah.
Yes, and Yeezy taught me. Yeah, Yeezy taught me.
I mean, listen, man.
Mike,
another thing that I got.
We need to get this top MC list like formatted, because here's the thing. Like I gotta just, guys like Eminem and Kendrick are probably gonna come out lower. Guys like Ye and Snoop are probably going to go up, because we need to start weighing all things. We need to start
weighing all things, man. Like, you talk about impact and all that. I mean, you look at the impact of a Snoop Dogg or Kanye West. Listen, man, this is the thing. The game-changing nature of Kanye on a mainstream level, because, again, we know people like Tribe and De La did what they were doing, even Outkast. But...
No, Cass is mainstream.
Cass is mainstream as a group. But Cass also... Cass is such a different group. They're just such a different group. They're very different.
They're a different type of icon than Kanye is. I get what you're saying.
What the thing is, they straddle early on that street and continue to just change. They changed drastically, while Kanye was able to be... I think he was a lot more vulnerable than Cass. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, as far as vulnerability and honesty, you gotta go to Tupac.
Yeah.
You know, like I told you, Mike, Roses might be my favorite track. I know it's past visiting hours. Can we please send her these flowers? They say your heart can't take the anesthesia.
I think what's even more interesting...
into a seizure. Hey, chick. You know what I'm saying? Like guys don't talk like that.
I think what's even more interesting about... I mean, obviously the parts with his mother, that's touching. And how big of a fan that his mother was of his music, of his career. Not even just current music. She was quoting rhymes that he had spit in like 7th grade or something, you know? And that level of support and that level of, you know, confidence that she had in him, you could tell it spilled over into not only his individual confidence, but his confidence in what he was doing. He knew musically what he was doing was right. He knew, and that's where the prophesizing, or him being somewhat of a hip-hop prophet, if you will, comes into play. He knew what he was doing is what the game needed to be doing. He knew that's where the game needed to go.
I don't think he knew that, though, Mike. I think the confidence got instilled in him, because you want to know, when his mom is instilling that confidence in him, because that's exactly what that is. Even as a grown man, she is instilling confidence in him in that moment. And just me as a man, and maybe it's because my mother was about to turn 60 yesterday and is turning 60 today. I thought about when I was a young man, the one time that I told my mother that I didn't believe that I could do something. And I can remember what the next 20 minutes were like, where she was promptly reminding me of who I was, even though I was not even aware of it as a young man. You know what I'm saying? And reminding me that I could do all things, and there was nothing that I could not do. And in that moment, like I'm like, you know, and this is why the album is named Donda, even though I don't like the album per se. She instilled that confidence in him that makes him believe, that makes him proclaim, that makes him speak things into existence. That confidence is a direct correlation to the confidence that his mother instilled in him. And the evidence on it is right there in that documentary. And it is one of the more beautiful moments that you're going to find in Black culture. Damn some rap shit, Mike. That's a mother and a son in Chicago bonding and speaking and breathing life into each other, and it is beautiful.
It is.
Beautiful.
It is, man. And Can't Tell Me Nothing takes on a whole new everything.
Totally different.
Everything takes on a whole new phase and meaning, and like I said, I even correlate a lot of these things to what he does now. Even that story when he was talking about he was in the studio with Lil Kim or whatever, he didn't have enough money for a cab ride, and Sean wanted some beats, so he ran down the street with his dats and all that. Like, this man's been through it.
Yes.
And we're talking about at a time where a lot of people would feel like, hey, I'm on the blueprint. The blueprint's 5 mics. I'd have made it. He still was like, look, there's more to do. There's more to do. Even today. I mean, the news came down the wire that, he done sold, 6,000 units of those devices that are going to be playing Donda 2. It made like $1.3 million in 24 hours. Like, there's more to do.
Yep.
Never satisfied with himself per se, and it's not even about what everybody else is doing. It's a beautiful thing to see, and I mean, like I said, when Kanye talks, I mean, again, you just got to sit back and listen and like, okay, well, where's he going with this? Because he seemingly has been right over the past 20 years.
No, see, and this is what I mean when I'm saying he's special and it has nothing to do with rap. Let's go to his first real seminal moment that had nothing to do with rap. Go look at Kanye's body language when he's saying George Bush doesn't care about black people. You can literally see it's almost like something has a hold of him that's telling him, like, no, like, you can't be quiet in this moment.
He's not for the bullshit, man.
You have to speak in this moment. There is something deeper than rap that pushes him and compels him to speak and say the things that he says. And that's usually what happens with prophets. They get fed information. A prophet gets fed information at any given time, no matter what their mental or emotional state is. And so when the prophecy is getting transferred, it's getting transferred to somebody's physical and emotional state of being when it's a spiritual thing. So when we're calling him crazy, it's not because he's crazy. It's because of the rigors of what the physical world have placed on his prophecy. That's why I brought up Ezekiel and losing his wife.
I think that, for me, it seems like Kanye is one of those people that he's in an industry and in a space that, let's just be real, the industry is full of very phony, fake individuals, right? And I think about that MTV Awards. What was that? 2009 or whatnot, when he jumped up on stage, the Taylor Swift situation. He just couldn't take all of the fakeness. Is like, look, man,
take it. That's how prophets are.
And you can even see in that Sway interview where Sway was like, trying to tell him what he should do with the clothing line or whatnot, make T-shirts. You could see him stewing, like, you ain't got the answers. Like, he was getting frustrated as Sway was sitting there talking like, look, I've done the work. You haven't done the work. Don't try to sit here and tell me what I need to be doing when I've actually not only done the work, put in the money and all of that, and you haven't done any of these things, and you actually going to sit here and give me advice on this?
Mike, let me tell you something. There are people that jump on our YouTube page now, and they go to times and places in our comments where they physically see me change. And it's because the things that I'm hearing and the other things that I am hearing at the same time, they do not align and they do something to me. That's why I'm saying, like, when this dude be riffing off some of the stuff they be riffing, it's like, no, because it happened to me live. Like, Mike, you did it to me last time. When you did the whole Andre thing with the commercial, it goes back to that. No. It goes back to, in my mind and in the spirit, I want you to understand what I'm hearing. Oh, he doesn't like to labor. He doesn't like to work hard. that doesn't work for what we do over here. And I'm not talking about no rap shit. So my spirit gets unrested and starts going like, oh, you don't like work. Oh, that ain't how this work. I'm about to lose it because you don't like to work. No. Like the way this order works over here with me, men work. And if you don't work, we about to have some motherfucking problems. And it's going to take something outside of the physical to calm me down and get me up off your ass, because in the spirit I am bothered and disturbed and will not be quiet and will not stop. Right. And
that's what Kanye has.
On 10.
Yeah.
And beyond me. That's what I'm saying when I'm saying he's special. Oh, no. He's special. Because it's like he can't hold it. And that's because something else has a hold of him. And that's why he tries to make an album where he invites people to speak cleanly and speak about God, because he's getting different messages.
And you know what?
And execution was awful.
And back to that whole Sway situation, when you look back at it, and when he was doing those rants about the fashion industry, turns out he was right? Once he was able to get the infrastructure that he needed, he was able to amass this Yeezy empire that is now worth about, $4 or $5 billion.
He is a music
and people wanted
icon.
him to make T-shirts. Once again, people wanted him to be a producer, right? If he would have just sat there and listened to people and say, you know what, I can't be a rapper, I'm be a producer, he would have cut himself short. People wanted him to just sell T-shirts or whatever, and not do what he felt like he needed to do on a clothing manufacturing end. If he would have just done that, then he wouldn't have had this empire. He's continuously listening to himself, betting on himself, and he's winning. And I feel like this is going to be controversial to some, especially Leroy Green, who I'm sure is in the group. I think that he has become a better businessman than Jay-Z.
You want to know what? We've always looked at it from that perspective of like he's past Jay-Z because of how this has gone. But what I'm going to submit to you today is something different, because I thought about it when you told it to me behind the scenes. Well, he's always been past Jay-Z in his business mind, because this nigga was never thinking about selling a T-shirt to begin with. How about that, Mike? He was never thinking about selling a T-shirt to begin with. So when you're hearing Jay-Z on For the Fam, where he's talking about Rockaware 80 mil in like 18 months, first of all, I'm part of the people that contributed to that with those early sets of T-shirts and denim suits. Right. Understand, Kanye was never even concerned with the T-shirt, the denim suit, or the $100 million. He was literally concerned with building a brand and an empire that can compete with Michael Jordan, and he does.
Prophecy. I mean, even with these STEM players are forward thinking. And, you know, and I hate to say it like this, and I love Jay. I think Jay is an incredible businessman, but what Kanye's doing, he's building products that he can pass down, where Jay is selling companies.
He put in all the work. Mike, imagine locking yourself in a room doing 5 beats a day for 3 summers. That's a different world like KRIT summers. I deserve to do these numbers. Good night. That's what I'm talking about, the prophecy of it. He called his shot early. I deserve to do these numbers. That's on the College Dropout, is it not?
You know, one of the things that he did too early on.
I deserve to do these numbers.
You know, one of the things he did early on that I'd never seen a rapper do. He had his first 4 albums titled out the gate. He was like, I'm gonna do The College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, and I'm gonna do Good Ass Job. And I guess to him, that was gonna be his last piece, his retirement piece, right? And unfortunately, I think that whole Good Ass Job thing was derailed by the untimely, death of his mother. And then he went in another direction. But I had never seen a MC in hip hop group, whatever, have everything planned out so far ahead. And that just lets you know how he thinks, how his mind works. I always say Jay is like 2 or 3 steps ahead of people, thinking wise. I think Kanye's even further than that. Because he's the one guy who outthinks Jay, and I think it bothers Jay too.
He outthinks everybody, actually. I mean, if you want to talk about putting albums together, the only rapper of his caliber that has put 4 consecutive projects together that relay with some sort of theme is Nas, Illmatic. It was written, I Am, Nostradamus, From Boy to Man to King to Prophet. Right. Everybody else, no. And
Kanye had this.
Even with Nas, that's more musical visual aid than actual prophecy. And with that said, Mike, I got 2 minutes and I gotta go.
All right. Well, man, we you know what? 2 minutes.
We covered everything except for the Benny comment. So
we covered everything except for the Benny comment and the Mos Def comment.
No, I mean, did we kind of get into the Mos Def 3 Stacks thing? Not really.
No, not really. I wish y'all treated Mos Def like how y'all treat Andre 3000. You know what? Let's get into the Benny thing.
No, hold on. No. We can get into the Mos Def and Andre 3000 thing, and we can end it real quick. And this is what I mean. I only got 2 minutes. Has Andre ever made a rap song the caliber of Mathematics on Mos Def's first solo rap album, Black on Both Sides, which he has multiples of? Is there a Mathematics floating around?
I didn't even think you were going to go Mathematics. I thought we were going to go Miss Fat Booty, Mr. Nigga.
No, I'm going Mathematics. I'm going 3 verses of legendary lyrical bars on this guy's first album when he has multiples. And that is why Andre 3000 does not get treated that way. Next question.
What would Andre sound like over a Premiere track, I wonder?
Well, we don't know. We don't know a lot of things. We know what Mos Def sounds like over a Premiere track. We know what Mos Def sounds like on a hit single. We know what Mos Def sounds like in a group. We know what Mos Def sounds like on a group album, on a solo album, on a freestyle, in the car with Dave Chappelle, knowing the leg.
Oh. Have we ever heard Andre 3000 freestyle?
2 dope boys in a Cadillac.
I mean, no. I ain't talking about that. I mean, it's a freestyle because he said it was a freestyle to end. I'm talking about him in the booth. Him in the booth over some beats.
Like I said, Mike. Next question.
All right, last question before we get up out of here, man.
Miss Fat Booty, Mathematics, Umi Says. Those are 3 songs that Mos Def made on his first project over 20 years ago, and we have yet to hear that output from Andre. Next question.
What do you think about Benny the Butcher picking Conway the Machine over J. Cole as the best lyricist in rap right now?
I think that is apropos, because From a King to a God is lyrically better than anything J. Cole has done, but the role that J. Cole is on makes this a valid conversation. And Benny is really answering this question because people are feeling like Cole smoked him on his record. I think people are underrating Benny's verbiage. I think Cole is having a nice little guest appearance run, kind of like Wayne was doing last year.
Yeah. Kind
of at the end of the year to start into this year. And Conway is still my favorite lyricist right now that I didn't hear in the 90s, i.e. Nas, AZ. So.
I think at this point you have to beat From a King to a God. I think the Pusha T
lyrically.
Lyrically, that's what I mean. Lyrically, you got to beat From a King to a God, and I think Pusha T is going to be the person to come through and possibly do that. I would like to see J. Cole do it.
I think Magic is lyrically better than From a King to a God, and that is why I'm saying I would give Nas the lyricist title right now, because Magic lyrically is better than From a King to a God to me. But I also understand that Nas is like 50.
I think that's why we're not counting Nas. And before we get out of here, I think once again we're not going to get a Kendrick album this year, so I'm not even counting him in the race. But I would like to see J. Cole, drop an album this year to contend with that conversation. But, if Kendrick does drop, I don't know, man. I like I said, after listening to that Spotify series, I think Kendrick's past his prime. I think this is it. I think he's even settled in on the fact that this is it, because he doesn't even do interviews, but you're doing an interview that's about To Pimp a Butterfly.
I want you to understand this. And I've said this to you, and I'm going to say it again. Good Kid, Mad City is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year. The 4 projects that you've revered for, 3 of those projects are exciting, and 1 of them is boring, and you are doing a podcast about the boring.
Hold on.
In a year where your most exciting project and the project that really made you a household name is 10th year anniversary.
Before we leave, managing 10 years. 10 years, right?
What did Twista say on Slow Jams? By the way, it's produced by Kanye. Yeah. Baby.
10 years, right?
Let me be your manager. Because what the fuck is that? What is that? Good Kid, Mad City is celebrating its 10-year anniversary this year. That's Money Trees, Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, Real, Poetic Justice, Compton. And we talking about To Pimp a Butterfly?
10 years, right? 10 years, right?
What is he smoking on? Because it's not my top 5. He's smoking on something else doing this. It's not my top 5.
Cool. 10 years, right?
Rate my top 5 down again. It's not smoking on those guys.
10 years, right? 10 years, right? How long has he been missing?
It'll be 10
5.
years.
5. You've been missing for half of the time that what we're
You've been missing for
celebrating.
half of your tenure. You're right. You've been missing for half
You've
of the
been
tenure.
missing half of the time that we've been celebrating.
No. I'm docking you points. We're slide. Mike, I'm willing to give him a common like slide. It's getting to a common like slide. Do you understand that? Somebody that you are arguably top 10, I'm going to have to slide you like 23, 24, 25th.
Very problematic.